I'm Kate.
I'm Elle.
We are down to Faye, two women who definitely would have been lobotomized in the 1940s. And we are continuing our ACOTAR deep dive this week with chapters 13 through 18. And I know this is going to be a very bold statement, but I honestly think my first finished book of 2026, I just finished it. I think it's going to be my favorite book of 2026. I know that's crazy to say because it's the only book. Of course, it's my favorite, but I can't imagine anything topping it.
Is this the We Who Will Die by Stasia Stark?
Yes, and the
Okay.
hype that you're seeing, because it's starting to get a lot of hype on Book Talk and
Oh,
Bookstagram, and it actually deserves it. Rarely do things live up to the hype, but it pulled me out of my dire-bound book hangover. It replaced that with another book hangover, but I cannot recommend it enough, especially the audiobook, and we will definitely do a full episode on it.
okay.
So I'm not gonna go too deep here, and I talked about it a little bit last week, but broad strokes, it is a Roman inspired vampire world with sigil marked magical humans and mundanes. I called them voids last week. Vampires rule, and the vampire emperor, the first vampire, I hadn't caught that at first. A legend says that he was turned by a god into the first vampire, but he forces people to compete in brutal arena trials called the Sands. Our FMC Arvel won the Sands years ago, but her best friend was killed. And same day, one of her younger brothers was nearby when a mine exploded. There was like a mine explosion because there's some sort of magical element that they were mining.
Oh, okay.
And now he has a lifelong lung condition.
Oh,
Then their mother, who was struggling with addiction because her sister was killed in the sands earlier, told her brother, Arvel's uncle, about the prize money. So when Arvel won the sands, she got money and she was like, "This is it. We're going to start a new life." That guy steals their money.
good Lord.
And then, overwhelmed by guilt, their mother dies by suicide.
That's a
Okay,
lot.
that is all happening in a short amount of time. On top of that, Arvel has this childhood friend, and it turned into more. It turned into it's a young love, but it was someone who was there for her when she didn't have anyone else. And his name is Tiernan. He is a vampire that we are introduced to in flashbacks. And he vanishes on the day of her last competition
Come
in the
on.
sands. Right. Right when she needed him the most. So the story opens with Arvel trying to buy tonic to keep her brother alive, only to discover it's been bought up by another vampire. That vampire offers her a deal. Really, it's not. She doesn't have a choice. It's either take this deal or your brother is going to suffocate. But he will heal her brother if she enters an even deadlier tournament to become a guard. And once she gets close enough, assassinate the vampire emperor.
Jeez,
And
okay.
because it's a vampire bargain, she physically cannot tell anyone the truth about why she's there. Because she hasn't fought in, I think it's like 9 years. This is 9 years removed from her winning the Sands. And everyone's like, why are you doing this now? Like, you haven't been training, you haven't been fighting. Like, what's the deal? But she can't tell anyone. So from there, she's thrown into this intense training and the brutal competition and all of this. It's overseen by a masked vampire.
Hmm.
I'm sure you can see where that's
Masked,
going.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's another, so the emperor has two sons, and one is known for being openly sadistic. And he takes a special interest in Arvel and her motives. But it's the romance is great. It's a slow burn with a lot of yearning. But I loved the Roman arena vibes, or just like the Roman vibes, because they have a coliseum they flood for a mock naval battle. But then
Ooh.
also during that, in the water, there are kelpies.
Oh,
And at
okay.
one point, she has to like fight a griffin. So there are these mythological creatures and politics, blood, power plays, multiple love interests. It's giving a little ACOTAR energy with where I think the romance is going.
Okay.
Actually, a little Throne of Glass too, because as she's training and competing, trainees are being murdered. And my only complaint really is that I can't find a release date for book 2. But if you love romantasy, morally gray men, morally gray vampires, competitions, FMCs with secrets. This is absolutely worth your time.
This
And
feels actually correct for you, for somebody that was
it
so
was like
obsessed
it
with.
was written for
Well,
me.
considering how obsessed you were with Spartacus, like, this
Mhm.
is absolutely with you for you.
And I don't know what I'm gonna read next. Like, I thought about Lies of Lena. I've been seeing that everywhere. I am bad about so I have a TBR, but I'm not keeping track of it because
Right.
I'll see something and I'm like, "Okay, that's what I wanna read next." But I'm not adding it on Goodreads, I'm not screenshotting. So then when I finish a book and I open up Spotify to start something else, I'm like, what am I gonna read?"
Where was I supposed to go from here? Yeah, I get
So
that.
everyone let me know what they're reading just so I
Yeah,
can get an idea.
my poor TBR. I keep adding to it. I did buy something at the new, smutty romance bookshop that we went to, and I think it was, what is it, Kiss the Villain?
Mhm.
I think I'll be doing that
Rena
one.
Kent.
Yeah, I think I'll be doing that one next. We did a heated rivalry deep dive last week, and
That
there was,
ended up being 2
I know
parts
there's
because
so
there
much
was
to
just
talk about. There's
so much.
sorry guys, there's actually a part 2 coming out this week because there's just so much to gab about. So I've been in really deep, not that everybody else hasn't, with heated rivalry in the long game. So I need to find something to separate myself so that I can move on with my life until the next season comes out.
But you're going for another male.
I mean, I didn't say I didn't have a type.
And we watched People We Meet on Vacation? People You Meet on Vacation? I had never read
Yeah,
that book. It's Emily Henry, and I know it's very popular. That's not really my genre, but there had to have been a lot of context missing.
maybe the book is better. I did not enjoy that, and I feel bad to say that because so many people liked it, but the characters, it didn't make sense to me, their connection, and the female lead, it seemed like she was, I hate to say trying too hard because that just sounds mean, but it just
I don't do
a
well
lot
with
of effort to be
the
quirky or fun and different, and I just felt it was, like, too much. It
right,
didn't
the
make the most
whole
sense.
quirky I'm not like other girls,
Mhm.
when it just comes across as like you're not self-aware.
Yeah, there was a couple things where I was just like, "Ooh," some of this were being kind of pushy and a little selfish and, some of it's just, like, typical rom-com, like, things go wrong and, back in the day, I watched those because I had to, but some of those things make me cringe when it just goes wrong. I'm like, "Oh my god, come on."
Yeah,
So, it's just harder for me to get into some of that.
and then you will let us know about Rent because I have been questioning whether I should start there's another series, I think it's Rena Kent, isn't it, with the gang? It's like the initiation and you, like, get a woman or something? And it sounds really, really dark.
Are you talking about the one that's almost like a college setting that's kind of
Yes,
like a cult? Oh, is it one
Secret
that Squamer was
Society.
talking to us
Mhm.
about?
I kinda wanna do a dark romance next, though.
I am excited for Kiss the Villain because it
Mhm.
sounds really fun, and then the cover was really cool. We went to the bookshop, I was like, "Well, I have to get that." So, hopefully in the next, like, week or 2, I'll have a chance to get started on that because it looks like she's kind of a hefty book. So, she might take me a little bit to
She
get through.
tick.
She tick. And then we'll definitely do a deep dive on that one too.
Okay. Well, previously on Down to Fae, Feyre learned there is a mysterious woman everyone is afraid of. Weird. I didn't even know my mother was in Prithian. But they won't even speak this mystery her's name, like Voldemort in a wig. But she overheard Lucian tell Tamlin they are running out of time.
Ooh, she also learned about the existence of the Suriel, a creature compelled to answer questions when trapped, and that the blight plaguing Prithian isn't static, it is worsening and potentially spreading.
Is the whole trapping something and them having to answer questions, is that like a leprechaun thing?
I
Or
haven't
like a
thought about it until you just said that, but now maybe that does feel like some sort of
anybody seen the
Celtic
leprechaun? Say yeah.
Celtic Fey lore somewhere.
Mhm. But the second Feyre hears the blight is spreading, her first instinct is to warn her family. Very on brand. The problem isn't even figuring out how to explain this in a letter without sounding so insane you end up prescribed something with a grapefruit warning. The real issue is while other kids her age were hooked on phonics, Feyre was hooked on not dying.
At her request, Tamlin brings Feyre to the study and lights every candle in the room with a flick of his
And
magic.
you'll hear me get frustrated with Feyre's lack of urgency and not asking follow up questions, especially as the story goes on. She falls into like a little bit of a comfort zone or like a almost like the bog. Like it can't hurt me if I don't look at it or think about it. But I also get why she's confused because if you're a human and you've never really been around magic, watching someone casually light an entire room is impressive.
Mhm.
Like, it feels like a flex.
That feels like big magic. I've not seen any,
Yeah,
so
she just doesn't realize this is nothing compared to what a High Lord is capable of. This is Timu magic.
surrounded by books, Feyre reflects on the fact that neither of her sisters nor her mother or father ever cared enough to continue her education. Her mother taught her the basics before she died, and after that, nobody picked it up.
The more we learn about their mother, the worse she gets. And it's usually the opposite. Like, there's usually some nuance reveal later that soften things, but we haven't gotten that. I mean, we're 5 books in, maybe we will get it. But even when they were rich, the mother didn't hire tutors. She didn't care about their education. She just wanted her daughters to get that MRS degree. And I know that Feyre is nothing like her mother, but it is interesting that in Feyre's ideal world, she was marrying her sisters off. That was always the goal. It was never, I guess it wasn't even in the realm of possibility of her sisters taking care of themselves, but it was always like, I just got to get them out of here and get them to be someone else's problem.
I mean, they weren't making any attempts to take care of themselves, so Feyre's just trying to unload some burdens, respectfully.
Well, I also side eye the father
Yeah.
because why is he allowing this? I know he traveled a lot, he's the prince of merchants, whatever, but how do you not notice what your wife is doing to your kids? How do you not pick up on the fact that your daughter can't read? Especially after they lost the money and he had plenty of time to whittle his wooden butt plugs or whatever. He could have participated in the family. He just chose not to. He chose not to before they lost their money. It just became so much more obvious after.
I have a potentially controversial take.
Ooh.
Just, in their world and honestly in ours until fairly recently, educating women just wasn't considered important. Even among the gentry, or maybe especially among the gentry, girls were not taught to read, or they might, but it wasn't a big concern because they were never going to be expected to work. So you just needed to be able to hold a general conversation, to be of interest, to be pretty, to be pretty, but not necessarily a bigger part of the goings on.
Yeah.
It's all just because they're expected to be married and that's it. So it's really frustrating for us as 21st century women to read and to watch this happen. But, Feyre is being trapped by this illiteracy to an extent, but the failure, it's not personal, it's cultural. If her father knew that his wife didn't prioritize their daughter's education, and that likely didn't bother him when the plan was still marriage and comfort, I guess it makes sense that he didn't make further efforts. But again, like you said, once the creditors come, the circumstances have changed.
And they're all just sitting around.
Right. That should be a moment where you're like, ah, shit. Got to step in here. Things are not going how I plan, especially once you have to move to another location. Maybe while they were still in their big house, he thought that there was something he could come up with. But no, the money is running out. The money is gone. Like, what else? I don't know. At the same time, if you're at that point of survival where you're doing a lot of manual labor, menial tasks, maybe it didn't occur to him that they could use reading for anything for, I don't know. It's just, it doesn't make sense. He didn't do more effort to help his daughters, make more effort to help his daughters survive. But I think the uncomfortable answer is that he couldn't really take care of himself either.
There was definitely depression and disassociation, which I can totally understand. But yeah, mental illness isn't your fault. I don't fault the father for that. But mental illness is still your responsibility, if that makes sense.
Yeah, especially if you have people depending on you. As much as it's easy to blame Nesta and Elaine, they were children when their mother died. They're barely teenagers when the money ran out. They followed their father's lead because he was the one who'd always handled everything before. And
Yeah,
by
I
the time,
wonder if, sorry,
no, you're
I
good.
wonder if he had taken charge from the very beginning. I know he had the hurt leg and everything, but if he had assigned roles and been like, okay, like we're all going to learn how to hunt, we're going to take turns going out, or we're going to go out. You never go out alone, like everyone goes out with someone else. Like if he had been more involved, how much different things could have been.
I don't know that education would have mattered at that point because it is survival.
Well,
That
I
would have
know,
been an
but just
afterthought.
like,
But yeah, just like taking any steps
yeah,
to prevent things from getting worse, especially if you're watching the money dwindle and you don't it took 3 years and you don't have a backup plan. Nobody's gonna lend you money because you can't pay the creditors back. That's 3 years. Even if you've been injured and you're in pain, you're laying around in bed now, like, to come up with some other option, it is very painful to watch because at some point, Nesta and Elaine were following his lead because he'd always been
Like,
in
"You're the
charge.
father, yeah, take charge," and when Feyre comes in, be like, "Nesta, start chopping wood, Elaine, start cleaning."
Well, and again, it's not okay that once they're forced out of their home, they don't make more of an effort to help what Feyre is trying to do, but there's also, I guess, potentially still the chance that they thought their father would figure something out. But yeah, you would think that would kind of push somebody to do more.
I love when there are little moments where you're almost taking up for Nesta. I feel like a little zing in my panties.
Oh, I mean, I nobody's perfect, but some of these things are outside of her control completely, and we can't hold everything against her. Also, Farah thinking that any warning from her will make a difference is really optimistic. Like, you couldn't get these people to chop wood or look for you when you didn't come home at night, but you think that warning them about a magical blight is going to mobilize them somehow?
In hindsight, just knowing where the story goes, Feyre's daydream has always been that one day her father would stand up and take charge and save them. And it's like she keeps trying to give him the opportunity to become the man that she needed him to be, like with this letter.
Even if it doesn't go to her father, even if Nesta would make some sort of effort, somebody has to try to do something. There's no way I can understand how she would feel. There's no way I can not try to at least do something because it'll ride on my conscience that I didn't at least try to save them in some way. But first, if the family knows that Feyre can't read and write, are they going to trust a letter that they receive
That is
allegedly from
such
her?
a good question that will be relevant later on.
Second, how exactly is Feyre supposed to get this letter to her family?
I guess Tamlin is sending sentries out, as we're about to learn. He's already glamored her family. So I doubt that he would deliver a letter that contradicts the cozy little narrative that he's installed in their brains. The more I think about it, the more fucked up it is that Tamlin waits so long to tell her that they're glamored
Mhm.
because he knows that she's spiraling. He knows that she wants to warn them about the blight, and it's actually a non issue. He's already built warnings into the glamour. And have you ever thought about the fact that Tamlin could, in theory, glamour himself to look like someone else and just like really fuck with people?
I mean, he's a shapeshifter.
Exactly.
What
Like,
can you do?
I would be that actually comes up in We Who Will Die, where you meet someone who is capable of looking like other people or
Mhm.
making other people look like other people. I would be questioning every conversation I had. There's actually a lot of theories.
Oh, I bet. That it just comes down to how diabolical is Tamlin actually, or what are the circumstances where he would potentially need to be somebody else for whatever reason?
There's a book or show that talks about shifting into someone else and instead of an animal, and it makes you really sick.
Isn't that in Supernatural?
You know
No.
what? It's True Blood,
Yeah.
where like
Oh, yeah.
I think Sam's
And you
brother
can't do it
shifts.
unless you've killed a family member or something
Yes.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because one of the characters, like, her mom died in childbirth or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, that it just feels like you're almost taking things a little too far. But it does open a whole world of like, where does the question end? Like, what's the line that we draw when it comes to shifting or changing our form?
Mhm.
But also, as you're talking about Tamlin not telling Feyre more information sooner, I do know that in the beginning she panicked about trying to get back. And the minute he told her that they were cared for, she didn't say anything else to him. So, in theory, does he know that she is still spiraling about it?
I think he knows that she wants to write the letter to warn them about the blight.
Okay, he know, like, the reason she wants to write them a letter, you think you know? Okay, because I mean, not that I'm excusing what he does and doesn't say, I just had a moment where maybe a lot of this is internal for her and he doesn't have
Or
an
maybe
idea,
maybe not. Maybe he just thinks that she wants to be like, "Hey, what's up?"
just to check in or something. I mean, but there's also a very small possibility that he doesn't wanna tell her about the glamoring just because he doesn't want her to resent more Fey magic.
The glamoring was necessary, I guess, for their peace of mind, but it is almost a Not invasion, what am I
It
trying to
is an
think of?
invasion, though, because you don't have any consent.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's been done assuming you know best,
Mhm.
and although Feyre is grateful, it is frustrating and hard to process the different feelings that you get all at once when he tells her. But
'Cause then I'd be questioning, like, "Have you ever glamored me?"
yeah, like, how far does this go? Will I know? Will I remember the difference? Like, how strong is this glamour? But yeah, as I'm saying that, there's definitely a possibility that Tamlin wanted to have more interactions with her where she wasn't as, like, angry at the Fae before he told her just so she didn't
Yeah.
make more
Of like,
assumptions.
"Of course that's what you did."
Yeah. Feyre spends the day in the study, sounding out words, copying unfamiliar ones into a growing list. Looking for a distraction, she follows a trickle of sunlight and discovers a hidden mural telling the story of Prithian.
It is a lore dump, but aesthetic. It's
Mm.
perfect for a girl who loves art and can't read because it's basically like a giant picture book. But before coming here, Feyre's world was so small, not just emotionally, but literally. She grew up 2 days from the wall, and that was basically her edge of existence. Now she has access to knowledge, but I cannot imagine how overwhelming it would be to see how big the world is and how much you don't know.
It's interesting. It does seem like her mother gave them all some insight in history lessons because there's things that Feyre will say that she knows about the Fae, and she had to have received some instruction before that. But I do wonder if she's ever even seen a map of what the continent or the country should look like. It just, that would be wild to not know how much you don't know.
It's just so vast,
Right. It's not great for a girl who already feels insignificant.
but it's also weirdly freeing. Like, I will sometimes be stressing over really dumb shit, like, "Oh my god, my Instagram reel didn't get a lot of views." But who cares? Like, the stakes are fake. None of it matters.
A massive black cauldron is held by glowing female hands in a starless, endless sky. The hands tip it, golden liquid pouring out, sparkling with symbols forming the world itself.
I love that the creation story here is feminine,
Hmm.
and it's being poured. It's not being fought over or stolen, it's being given. And yes, we clock the symbols. We are just not gonna do cauldron theories yet. We will. We will. Just know my brain lit up like season 1 Joyce Byers during this little lore dump. Speaking of Joyce Byers, have we
Uh-huh.
talked about Conformity Gate in
N-
Stranger Things?
no, but I also haven't watched the new
It's
season.
no spoilers to
Okay.
just say that there's a lot of inconsistencies.
I have seen that all over my feed. I just, because I
So
haven't
we
gotten caught
convinced
up.
ourselves that there was going to be this like secret episode released on January 7th.
Yeah.
Obviously, it wasn't. Now they're like saying another date, but there are so many clues that there's supposed to be another episode or that what we thought happened in the finale isn't what actually happened.
Do you think that they're making another episode because they left holes and forgot to wrap things
I
up?
don't
Or are
think
they
they'd be able to
intentionally?
do that because the amount of production and logistics and things that go into a show,
Hmm.
I don't think they'd be able to just like throw it back together because the internet hated the finale. You know?
Yeah. Or are they just leaving the door open so they can come back and make more things later?
I could see that. I've also seen theories. So if you watch Nightmare on Elm Street, there's eventually they say the movies are over and then there's a quote unquote documentary. And it, Freddy Krueger starts killing the actual cast of the movies. It
Oh.
becomes like it starts as a documentary and becomes a movie. And there's a behind the scenes documentary of Stranger Things coming out. And people are saying, like, is that what it's gonna be? Something like
Oh.
that, because there are Nightmare on Elm Street references. And even the actor for Freddy Krueger played Henry's father.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if any of that's gonna be true, but there are if you are interested, just look up Conformity Gate, and there are, like, side-by-side pictures of things and just a lot of things that don't add up.
That could be really fun. That's very like Inception, where you're like,
Yes.
okay, what's
It's
real?
very open-ended.
That's kind of fun. The mural expands into a map of the entire world, not just Prithian, but seas and distant continents beyond it.
It trips me up because, Throne of Glass rotted my brain, with Aurelia being both the name of the continent and the world. But here, Prithian is just the land north of the wall on this continent. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. This map is literally the UK. Part of the spring and the summer court are Wales. Night, dawn, and day are Scotland. Autumn, winter, and the other part of spring are England, and Highburn is Ireland.
Oh, wow.
Also, Prythian comes from ancient Celtic words for Britain, Brython and Prydain, and Hibernia is the Latin word for Ireland. So Sarah really said, like, I did my homework, guys.
I mean, I'm impressed. I didn't know that.
Well, it is an interesting choice to have Ireland be the bad guys and England be the good guys.
Mm, mhm,
Mhm.
mhm. I see what you're saying. At first, the mural is only Faye's.
Someone needs to start OnlyFans. Like OnlyFans, but it's men dressed as characters from books. Like Hot Men in Wings, which could be very cringe. I don't know. It would have to be like actually very attractive people.
It could be very hot, but I need the wings to not look like toys. Like, as funny as that is, if you're being serious, make it expensive, fancy, and hot.
I know a lot of them are just like plastic wings.
Which is
And I'm
also
like, I need to be
funny.
able to see like, what do they always say? Membrane or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the veins. But also, if that's the case, if I'm really paying for OnlyFans, then, like, you need to go all in on this
Should we
one.
trademark OnlyFans? We need to get in on this.
I mean, we are down to Faye. It seems like it's on brand for us.
Honestly, 2026 is the year of cringe. To be without cringe is to be free because I'm tired of being embarrassed. The first time I used a tampon, I put it in my butt. I tried cocaine one time. It was cut with baby laxative. I shit myself in front of a guy I really liked. So what? Let's just let's release. Why don't you release some of your cringe?
You know what? If you're going to put it all out there, then I guess people can't make fun of you if you're not afraid. But
I'll make fun of myself first.
I can't believe you really said that.
What are some of you have like no moments like that?
Oh, I still cringe, so I can't talk about them. I'm not as free as you are.
I'm trying to think of some of your embarrassing moments. Oh, wait, I thought of one.
Do I want to know? Is it related to me tripping in front of a dorm?
Oh, no, I forgot about that. She fell down the stairs outside of the dorms.
Kate and the cabbie both thought it was hilarious. Thanks for helping.
No, I was thinking about something with Papa John's.
Was I cringe or just you? Like, you were hilarious with
Didn't
the
you,
eat a dick 4 eyes.
Oh, yeah, that too. I'll have to think of something really embarrassing.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about this offline because I'm like, Papa John's. This could be too embarrassing for me to relive.
I know. I'm like, didn't you date a guy
Yes.
that worked at one Papa John's, so you went all the Papa John's?
No, I didn't go. No.
Okay.
He worked at Papa John's, yeah. I think I dated a couple pizza boys at some point in my life. There are no humans in the mural.
Nutella. Isn't there something embarrassing with Nutella?
Embarrassing?
Or something you did with Nutella?
I've done things with Nutella.
Okay. Go ahead. Proceed.
What? Now I want a side spiral. Like, what are you? Kate is really good at remembering things for me sometimes that I'm like, wait, maybe you're right, but I don't think so.
No, I think about it every time I eat Nutella.
That's weird for you. Thanks. There are no humans in the mural at first, not even a footnote. Then suddenly, human soldiers are facing the Fae on a battlefield. Then another panel shows the land divided by the wall.
Humans really went from non-existent, or not non-existent, but not significant enough to even note, to a problem very quickly. They entered the scene as an interruption, like an ugly new bombshell has entered the villa, but it really is like the Fae were treating the humans so horribly.
Oh, yeah.
But the way they're depicted is like a nuisance.
Well, they're literally just there as a plot point. Like, we have to mention that they existed because changed something for us.
There was a war, yeah.
Right, just so we can tell you more about us. But you know what? History is just so subjective because,
is.
of course, it doesn't show how horribly the humans were treated or like why they rebelled.
It's a lesson in how narratives are built. Feyre is seeing the flip side of all the anti-Fae propaganda they have on her side of the wall. This is what they were getting on this side of the wall.
Everything north of the wall went to the High Fae, everything south to the humans. Borders were redrawn to make room for displaced Fae, and at the very top of the list of courts that lost land, Spring.
Tam Tam Senior. Senior Tam!
Senior Tam Tam.
And you can tell how mad they were about it because the wall is painted. It's just like a Sharpie line that someone was mad and drew, like a smudge on the map. And then everything below was just forgotten. I wonder if it's so depressing there in the mortal lands because they're separated from magic. Not that the humans had magic, but it's like if magic is so tied to the land, is the wall being there, because it's not just a wall, it's not just like stone, like it is magical. Is that why it's just so gray and
I bet because, yeah, the High Lords get their power from the land, and that's what helps to regenerate and help them have crops and all the other things. So
yeah,
not
Tam's out here
necessarily
splooging just so they have magic on the land. Is splooging a word? Is that what
gross.
I meant to say?
I think that's a word. Maybe it's not that the land for the humans is cursed now, but the Fae literally sapped all the nutrients by taking the magic away, and the
Mhm.
humans are like, what are we supposed to do now, you
Because the
guys?"
crops won't even I know that there's a blight too, but it's like crops don't even grow well.
Well, and it's hard to say if that's truly, and maybe we'll get more information because it's been a while since I last reread. Is that because the land is cursed, the nutrients are gone, or is it just because they're in an area that has really bad weather and there's no magic to make the climate more palatable or temperate or something?
They're also uneducated because they were slaves, so they kinda had to start over and form their own civilization from scratch.
Yeah, a lot of the big the big cities are much further away from the wall.
Mhm.
These little towns that are too close to the wall are also forgotten because it's almost like you wanna live here at your own risk. Okay. The map shows the 6 other courts: autumn, summer, winter, dawn, and day, and above them all, a vast territory of darkness and stars, the night court.
Ugh, I have literal like, say it again.
The night
Literal
court.
chills, I felt that in all of my holes.
Wow. There are also other kingdoms across the seas, including an isolated fairy land to the west, but Feyre gets distracted by a small snowy mountain range in the middle with one massive solitary peak and zero explanation.
She's like, "Anyway, that's none of my business." Like, when I worked at the mall, you and the hot girls worked at Victoria's Secret. I was down in the trenches, but there was a guy who was selling clothes out of the back. He just wasn't scanning them in,
Oh, stop.
and that was none of my business. Or like what the back of my hair looks like. It's none of my business.
I don't need to know.
Feyre is just learning. She doesn't even know how to read yet. Like, she can't take on geopolitics.
This is a lot to process as is. Again, these are all just pictures, so I get nothing from the picture. I can't tell you.
Yeah, she's not illiterate in that she does know the basics, but I'd say she's on a second or third grade reading level. It's not even that embarrassing because I see adult men reading with their finger. She just needs help, but she doesn't want to ask for or accept help.
Well, she's also just come from survival mode, so she can do one, like, give me a second to like prioritize what's important and I'll get to it. I have questions, but I have a lot of other questions before I get to that one. Feyre turns her attention to a children's book and keeps practicing her reading. Just as Feyre is ready to give up, Tamlin offers to help her write the letter.
And he's not mocking her. He straight up says he would never mock her for something that isn't her fault. But Feyre is mortified, which I get. This is a beautiful, powerful High Lord, and I'm just a walking stereotype of everything you think about humans. I'm ignorant. I'm closed minded. I'm uncultured. I'm a cum stain on the world's boxers. And she grew up with Nesta, who weaponized insecurities like it was an Olympic sport, like the Michael Phelps of psychological warfare. So she's just always bracing for that,
Mhm.
and it leads her to be very defensive.
Yeah, she's ready to roll at any time.
And if someone is offering to help you, like, just take the help.
Right. It just Tamlin, poor Tamlin, he's out here catching strays when Feyre responds to him defensively with like cutting generalizations about the Fae. When he says in response, "You're not what I expected of a human," Feyre's already internally finishing the sentence for him. Illiterate, ignorant, unremarkable, even though he never says any of
She
that.
she really punishes him and Nesta too. And I mean, yeah, Nesta has said some really hurtful things, but she punishes people for things they say in her head. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like,
These
you
thoughts
can't.
didn't actually come from him. They
Yeah.
came from you.
It's like when I have a dream that my boyfriend's cheated on me and I'm
Right?
so mad at him.
Why is that such a thing? Because I've had that too, and I wake up and I'm like,
Yeah,
"How
you
dare
piece
you?" And
of
he's like,
shit.
"What? I was just
You
laying
would
here
do that.
sleeping."
But no one has to insult Feyre because she's already running her own roast in her head. Very relatable, honestly. But she's waiting for the punchline, the trap door to fall out from under her, the metaphorical pig's blood to be poured on her. She's just always bracing. And it's, especially if you grew up in that environment she did, kindness would feel kind of suspicious.
Mhm.
She was surrounded by people who were saw this family lose everything because they had very rich friends
Mhm.
and they didn't do anything to help. They didn't let them live with them. They didn't take them food. And even not even just the family, but it's like the entire village, the entire culture, no one was helping anyone. So having this person in such a powerful position be like, "I can help you learn to read." I'd be like, "Why? What's in it for you? What's the
Right.
game here?"
At what cost? Everything just it feels like it's a setup.
Well, yeah, and she keeps overhearing all these weird conversations
True.
that I would just be wondering. I'd be trying to like that woman meme where the all the equations are floating around her head. I'm like, "What's going on?"
I mean, she's also grown up hearing terrible things about the Fae, so I do understand why she would
Yeah, are you
make
gonna
these,
trick me into a bargain with
but
learning to read or something?
I'm a little bit annoyed that Tamlin feels bad about his comment because it's not like he actually poked fun at her, he
Yeah.
didn't say anything below the belt. She directly insults him, and he responds with something that she interprets as a personal attack, even though that's not what his intent was, and it's not what he said.
He's just not very good with words.
Yeah,
But what he was saying is you can't judge everyone by the same standard, not that there's something wrong with her.
but she again, it's all in her own head. She already has these preconceived notions that she just runs with, and you're like, "What conversation are we having?" I think it's also probably a pretty good reflection of Tamlin's character that he still feels bad that she's upset regardless of who's at fault technically or who caused this for her. He understands why humans assume the worst. He knows the Fae have earned their reputation for cruelty, and he can hold space for why Feyre would make that initial judgment.
Yeah, I mean, objectively, the Fae were terrible to humans.
Yes, and but I think the thing here is that he's also been consistently kind and generous to her. So her reaction does sting, not because she's wrong to be wary, but because she's jumping on him, but she's lumping him in with these other people that he spent his life trying not to be.
That's a really good point, actually, because Tamlin defines himself as the antithesis of his father and the Fae who enslaved humans. So having their sins thrown into his face would suck.
Mhm.
Like he has spent his entire life trying so hard not to be that. And in this moment, Feyre treats him like he's like his father.
Mhm.
Feyre is, at this point in the story, Feyre is as good at reading people as she is at reading.
Yikes. When Feyre goes back to the study that afternoon, her list of words is gone, and the books are stacked differently. She begins to think that her own reaction to Tamlin's offer to help was overkill, but the memory of the term shortcomings snaps her right back into survival mode.
She does what any traumatized woman does. She assumes it's her fault, obviously. Like, this is what I get for taking my guard down for 5 minutes and thinking maybe Tamlin understands me. It's a rookie mistake. Never trust peace. Peace is temporary. Suspicion is forever.
I mean, to be fair, shortcoming rubbed me the wrong way too. Like, I know that's not what Tamlin meant. It just sounds
It
condescending.
does. It sounds like deficiency.
Yeah. The only person that Feyre's ever been able to rely on is herself. And if Tamlin is going to keep being vague as hell about this blight because everything's different or this is just not actionable information, thank
Yeah.
you so much, then she'll figure this out on her own.
It's a very fair response that, like, I don't have allies. I have no clarity. No problem. I will simply risk my life and uncover a magical mystery threat on my own.
It is too bad that Feyre's own family taught her that she can't lean on others. Alice has already told Feyre that she can't trust her own senses when she's here
But what does
either.
that mean? Like, if someone told me you can't trust trust your senses, then I'm never going to know what's going on
It's
because all I
still
have are my
Well, it's
senses.
still vague as hell, like, which senses? To what extent? What do you mean? Like, everything or just sometimes? Like, how far does that go? Because then I really wouldn't know when to worry or, when not to.
Yeah, no wonder she doesn't trust anyone and she doesn't trust Tamlin. If I'm told not my sin, are you talking about like my lust?
Are you just talking about, like, the puka the other night? Or, like, what do you
Yeah,
mean? When? The fairies also for Feyre the ones that she has met have shown that they can withhold information, so Feyre needs to find another method to attain knowledge. She starts with tracking down Lucian in his bedroom.
that would have been the first room I marked on my little hand drawn map, like put a star sticker, a priority location. Lucian is wearing a white shirt, red hair down, sleeves rolled up, probably has that one obscene vein,
Ooh.
and he's just casually lounging. Seeing Lucian like this, I would forget my family, the blight, the treaty, my morals. I would be on the floor begging for this man to spit on me. You know what ACOTAR males have over at Throne of Glass and other fantasy and romantasy MMCs? They're clean.
Okay.
These men have bathed, they're in clean clothes, they're playing classical music while they rearrange your guts. Like, don't get me wrong, I would take Lucian any way I could get him. Months on the road, sleeping outside, wearing sweaty leathers that you could probably crack in half. I would take a big yeasty for Lucian, but they are at least clean.
I do hear what you're saying. Wow. Lucian mentions that he overheard Feyre's spat with Tamlin, who had to leave to deal with a quote disturbance in the Western Forest.
She tries to play it cool, very cash, like, hey, random question, no reason. If I were a Suriel, hypothetically, how would you trap me?
She assumes that he will shut her down. Instead, Lucian answers in detail.
Well, if I were a Suriel, I'd probably be drawn to young birch groves in the western woods, Costco rotisserie chicken, and I would be so excited I wouldn't notice a double loop snare. And if I were dumb enough to actually try to catch one, I would bring a bow and a knife like this one here that I'm putting on the edge of the table. Oh God, now I'm thinking of the lights out scene, the knife scene. Oh my God, it's so hot. Sorry. Lucian adds that he would then run to the nearest running water because Suriel, which is a species, that's not just one Suriel,
Mhm.
but they hate crossing it. Very specific. Also, do you think Tamlin and Lucian are hooking up with people right now? There's no way they just hung up their dicks for the majority of this book. Have you thought about that?
Um, yes and no. I feel like because of the time frame, people are a little bit depressed, and also a lot of people have left the court. So I think that they're if
What's
they
a better way to like boost morale?
well, but like who's still around? So like maybe people if they have to like ride out to check some like edge of the territory, if there's somebody on the way like, "Hey, what's up?" But directly around where they're staying now, I don't know if there's anybody.
They've got to be jacking off so much.
If only. Before she leaves, he adds the classic Lucian cover your ass clause. This is obviously all theoretical,
Annie says, don't worry, me and my superior hearing will be hunting nearby just in case anyone screams and needs help.
which is Lucian speak for I am absolutely enabling this terrible idea while maintaining plausible deniability.
And we will unpack Lucian's motivations later once we have more information. But for now, Feyre fully follows his purely hypothetical instructions, which means somewhere in the kitchen, the staff absolutely exchanged looks when she asked for a freshly dead chicken.
People are going to know. Like, that's not a secret thing you just asked. Come
And
on.
also, when she's walking to the forest, she passes a pond where she swears she sees four shining female heads just below the surface of the water, and they're watching her. And I have to imagine these are the water wraiths.
I would
And we will
guess.
meet them in Akamath, but they're just out here watching, like, girl, what is you doing?
I feel like there's a lot of people on the sidelines that are like,
There's a lot
did
of
you see a
dumber
human
people
walk
that you
past?
know wondering what is happening.
What's that? What is that over there? Okay. Feyre finds a glen of young, skinny birch trees.
Fun fact, or maybe this is general knowledge and I just didn't know it. I had to look it up. A glen is basically a small valley, common in Scotland and Ireland, and it's where the name Glen comes from.
That is a fun fact.
Another fun Glen fact, they make terrible stepfathers.
Feyre keeps walking until she reaches a small stream that she can jump over, climbs a tree, sets the snare, and waits. And waits.
And eats a hunk of cheese. Like, we're actively luring an ancient being tied to fate and knowledge, and you're having this little charcuterie moment? Like, I can smell cheese from a mile away. There's no way the Suriel isn't like, is someone eating a Lunchable? But I honestly think that's the only part of fantasy books that I could survive is they're constantly eating hunks of bread and cheese. Would I ever shit again? No.
No.
But I would eat so many hunks of cheese.
Can you imagine being lactose intolerant? What else you guys got? Bread?
And
what
they're
else?
it's not even like cutting it. It's just like gnawing at a hunk of cheese.
That's like I don't mind cheese cubes, but biting into cheese, it's like that's in my teeth. Also, compare this Feyre hunting scene to chapter 1, Feyre's hunting scene. No snow, no starvation.
She's hydrated. She's snacking. She's sitting in a tree with her girl dinner.
There's a ripple of silence, then a snap and a scream.
A knobby new bombshell has entered the villa.
The Suriel is tall, draped in tattered robes with hard knobs along its spine, spindly, scabby gray arms, yellow, cracked
God,
fingernails.
it's so ugly.
It
I'm
sounds
sorry.
like I guess I always envisioned that it was like a skeleton, but there's
Yeah.
more to it than that. And there is skin, but it's like dry. I don't know.
Ugh.
It's weird, like husk sounding. It has a lipless mouth that's stretched over two long teeth held by blackened gums, slitted nostrils, and milky white eyes.
And the Suriel's voice, somehow young and ancient, beautiful and grotesque, which sounds familiar if you know, you know. We'll talk about that in a future spoiler section. But it's stuck in Feyre's snare and is basically like, bitch, what is this setup?
Feyre cuts straight to it and asks if there's a way for her to go home. The Suriel answers, not unless you want to be murdered, and also your family. Hope this helps.
Got it. I like the direct communication here, even if it's not what Feyre wanted to hear. Or maybe it is. I can't tell if Feyre wants to go home or wants to want to go home or she just wants to be wanted to go
You
home.
know, that's a little bit freeing too if you like if you don't want to go home, but if you say you want to, but you're trapped and you can't, like it's not
Yeah,
my
she's like,
fault.
it's
I
out of my
can't.
hands.
Exactly. Feyre asks about Tamlin, and the Suriel says it knows many things about the High Lord of the Spring Court.
XOXO, Gossip Girl. I love that the Suriel was caught and answered questions because, like, them's the rules. But as a fandom, we decided she's a sassy little gossip queen that's
I
like posting blind items.
She does give a little bit more info as we go along that I'm like, I wonder
Yes.
how much you had to answer that was strictly part of whatever the rules of this situation are and how much she embellished because she starts giving some info,
Hmm.
although sometimes it's vague. The
It
Sur-
is very vague.
very, you take it different ways. The Serial clarifies that it isn't wearing a mask because it is not part of the Spring Court. It's not part of any court. It's older than the High Lords. It's older than Prithian, older than the bones of the world itself.
Like, sorry, your immortality is regional. I predate the concept of land. Or, you know, she came from somewhere else, or like the capital V void. There's a lot of options, actually.
Right. How do you predate the bones of this world? Were you poured out of the cauldron too? Did you transfer in? That's such a
Oh, yeah, I guess she would have had to have been poured out of the cauldron, or it. I don't even know why we call it she. I don't do they say he in the book?
they say he in the book, and I guess because she loved the Suriel loves gossip and robes. We're like she. I don't know.
But
It's
yeah,
they.
being poured out of the cauldron, and we will talk about cauldron theories, but that could have been the void.
Right? There's a lot of potential when you say something that big and hard to imagine. Feyre asks about the blight, where it came from, and what can be done, and the Suriel tells her to stay with the High Lord. Do not
Mm.
interfere. Do not seek answers after today, or she will be devoured by the shadow over Prithian.
She do be doing all that.
He will shield he will shield her from it, so stay close to him.
Which is ominous and extremely loaded phrasing. Because one, stay close to him can mean a lot of things, but also the Suriel absolutely knows how Feyre is going to interpret stay with the High Lord. Because she later says also run to the High Lord's manor, run to the Spring Court. So it's very cryptic and obvious.
At some point, as we get more information, we'll have to touch back on this because we don't want to give any spoilers, but there's so many meanings that could be behind this statement. There's just a lot of double meanings at play.
Well, I've thought that maybe a future plot point that ties to this was retconned, like a different interpretation on previously described events, if that makes sense.
Yes, but also there are some events that occur that this does make sense.
Mhm.
So it's non-specific enough that you cannot confirm what was meant.
If you don't know what we're talking about, we sound insane. Like,
we're we're really good at doing this. We will definitely have to touch back on this
yes.
because there's so much we could get into. The Suriel realizes that Tamlin doesn't know about this little field trip, and more importantly, it says Tamlin cannot give her these answers.
Not won't, cannot. He's not, it's not that he's being cagey. He's just not the one holding the clipboard. And it matters because now it's not just secrecy, it's structure. There are rules, and suddenly this stops being about one cursed court forced to wear masks as like a humiliation ritual, and it starts feeling bigger. Everything is just starting to feel bigger and higher stakes. than just a human who killed a fae, and the treaty means that she has to live here.
It's not it's funny that she came to this serial expecting to get answers, and she's getting answers, but it's almost like in other stories where people get, um, a prophecy. It's
Yes.
still vague. They're
Yeah.
not like they're answers, but they're not.
Well,
It's
the thing about prophecies is they never make sense until it's too late.
Mhm.
Once something happens, you're like, "Oh, now I get it."
Well, only because these things happened in this way does it add up to be what this was.
And I wouldn't say that Feyre is great at riddles or
She hasn't had time to really
but
develop that
neither am
part.
I. I'm not good at riddles, and I'm really bad about questioning myself.
I'm not gonna okay, I do wanna pat myself on the back because there's
Oh.
a time for a riddle later that I immediately clocked the answer to, and I'm not great at riddles usually, and I was like, "Is it
See,
just
but
this?"
I don't think that you would say it because you'd be too scared that you were wrong.
Right, I'd be afraid that I would hurt somebody or something
Yeah.
if I said it wrong, but, yeah, I was actually later, I was like, "Go me. I should have known,
Wow.
obviously."
Good for you.
The Suriel adds that across the sea lies another fairy kingdom called Hybern, ruled by a wicked, powerful king.
Not a high lord, a king, which tells you everything you need to know about him. Not that high lords are voted in, but they're at least chosen by the magic. And humans no longer exist in Hybern, though his throne is made of their bones.
Ye
Horrible, kind of cool. Like IKEA, but make it genocide.
Okay. The king of Hybern despised the treaty and resented freeing his human slaves. So, 100 years ago, he sent his people out as spies, courtiers, and lovers to infiltrate courts and kingdoms across the world.
Destabilizing geopolitics by fucking your way through a map, put me in. That's what I want to be in this story.
Okay. Then, around 50 years ago, one of his commanders, whom the Suriel calls the Deceiver, disobeyed the king of Hybern.
The deceiver is such a dramatic tie. It's biblical. It
Mhm.
is actually biblical. The great deceiver is Satan,
Yeah.
Lucifer.
Before Feyre learns how the Deceiver disobeyed the king of Hybern, the Suriel falls silent because they are no longer alone. It repeats its warning, stay with the High Lord, live to see everything righted.
And then it's like, now respectfully, let me the fuck go.
Yeah.
As four shadowy figures slip through the trees, the Naga. And I can't remember if we have already talked about this, but the Naga are not an SJM creation. In Hindu and Buddhist mythology, Naga are powerful, divine, or semi divine beings, often serpent like. We see something serpentine in another series, but they sometimes grant immortality, and they appear in a lot of role playing games and fantasy settings like Legend of the Five Rings. Naga are ancient, wise, or dangerous serpent humanoid races, sometimes possessing a hive mind.
Ooh, the hive mind thing is really creepy.
You know, did we ever finish the one show Pluribus
No,
with the hive mind?
no, we didn't finish that one.
She was a romance writer in that. I don't know if we've really talked about that, but I really
Oh,
liked it.
yeah.
I just don't have Apple, so I have to wait and watch it with someone.
There's been a lot going on, and I can't remember. Did we start that before Heated Rivalry?
Yes.
That's why I
Yeah,
just
that's exactly
I
that
was
was
taken
the
over and I can't remember to go back.
Mhm.
In Prithian, they are fairies made of shadow, rot, and hate. Everything about that just sounds kind of
What are you
terrifying.
made
And
of? Rot and
when you're made
hate?
of rot, I'm like, ew, do you smell? Gross. They have dark scales, serpentine features fused with male humanoid bodies, their arms ending in black talons. They glance from the Suriel to Feyre and call her a meal, even if she's not much to eat.
So you think I'm skinny? Feyre screams, hoping Lucian will hear and come running like he implied that he would. Spoiler alert, he does not. But with her first arrow, she fires at the snare, which is a huge development from the fairy hating girl we met in chapter 1. Is her first thought is not protecting herself, it's helping the Suriel get away.
Honestly, it's pretty impressive because she was told once she freed the Suriel to run like hell, run to get
Yes.
away from it because it would harm her. And instead, she's protecting it. And that Suriel is immediately like, bye, sis. Good luck with
Yeah,
that.
all you see is the Suriel's ass and the bottom of her feet as she's gone, leaving Feyre alone with some arrows, Lucian's knife, and debatable painting skills. But you know what I keep coming back to is, why did the Naga want Suriel so bad? They say, "Do you know what you've cost us?" And that to me doesn't sound like we were about to eat it, right? That
Yeah.
sounds like we just lost access to supernatural Google.
Well, if there are rules about trapping the Suriel and it having almost like a genie in a bottle and it has to give answers, that might have been very important for something for the Naga. They may have wanted
Mhm.
to trap it, like, like
But, like, what
that's
would they have going on?
I don't know. Like, I don't know anything about the Naga and what they're related to or the big part they play, but if the Suriel literally knows all, Feyre I mean, not Feyre, knowledge can't be a bad thing.
Yeah.
The Suriel does know everything about the Blight, the courts, Hybern, so either they wanted answers or someone wanted the Suriel silenced before it spilled too much information.
That's a good point of maybe the Suriel who knows what she was about to say, and a certain person might have wanted to stop that. As she's running, Feyre's hit in the face and goes down hard. Then there's a roar, and it does not come from the Naga. Ick. I don't know. I guess because he's a beast, it's different, but I cannot imagine a hot roar.
Right. It can't be a roar that came from a man's throat. It has to be
No.
like a roar. It doesn't sound right.
1 second she's about to be eaten, the next Tamlin is absolutely shredding. Not killing, disembowing the Naga. This is not courtly spring court flower crown bullshit. This is the High Lord of the motherfucking spring court.
He kneels beside Feyre, who flinches.
Not only did she just learn that he's a High Lord and watched him tear apart creatures with his bare hands, so that is very scary.
Mhm.
But he did come when she screamed.
Okay.
Like unlike a certain firecrotch who said, I'll be nearby and then put his phone into do not disturb. There's nothing worse than do not disturb. Like, I'm sorry to bother you with my friendship.
That's me. But also, what are on those claws?
Ugh.
Like, Tamlin just gutted somebody, so it's not just blood. There's innards. There's things. Like, just keep
Did
that
his
away from my
claws go away, I guess, when he's shifted?
I mean, he can be human and have his claws out. We've seen him do it
That's
before, so
true.
I don't know if the claws are still out.
Yeah, I guess he wasn't actually a beast when he did all of this. He was just he was like Wolverine.
Right. But also, even if
Do you
his
think that, sorry, do you think the claws come out of the tips of his fingers? Or do you think they come out like Wolverine in between his fingers?
in my mind, the claws are like his fingernails, like they would be for an animal, like at the tips of
Like
his
they
fingers.
replace it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if he was to shift, his little fingers would become toe beans.
That's what I was
So,
thinking.
I mean, that's how I visualize it, like actual claws,
Yeah, okay.
not separate hands and Wolverine. I mean, that's an interesting thought. But yeah, even if the claws have been retracted, that nastiness is still on his fingers. So, like,
Mhm.
respectfully, don't touch my face. But Tamlin takes off his shirt to cover
Mm.
hers because it had been ripped and torn.
And listen, I know we're scared, but feral Tamlin in a blood-soaked white shirt, it would be clinging. I don't care what he just did or what his title is. He can step on me. And I just
Oh,
know Tamlin could just pick me up. He could like lift me up and not make a sound, like no grunts, like he's struggling. Real men can only lift me up in prayer.
oh.
He could just, I just feel like he could throw you around. I remember Amy Schumer, her biography, she talked about dating a certain wrestler, which
Uh-huh.
it's Dolph Ziggler, but she talked about how he could just like pick her up and throw her around.
I mean,
That's
I
exciting.
don't know what that's like to not have somebody go and
Yeah.
like work really
Don't
hard
you
to
dare
get
put
yeah,
me down.
thanks. As you say that though, like Feyre's adrenaline is up. Her blood is racing. Like there's a moment where it's gonna go from adrenaline and fear to like sex
Sexy.
because like how that your heart's pumping. Like how does it not become
And her
sexy?
tits are out
There's a
because
lot
her
of things
shirt's
out.
been ripped.
Yeah, oopsies. And he clearly noticed, so you said you looked. Got it. He stands and
Made you look.
he stands and offers her his hand, literally, but also metaphorically, emotionally.
Sarah loves that whole reaching out your hand motif, but now because you said toe beans, I'm picturing him reaching out his paw and his toe beans.
Oh, like that
And
makes me
you take it and you can't even wrap his hand. It's just like flat.
okay.
But it is the first time that someone actually shows up for Feyre, not because she's useful or she is providing something, but because she screamed. She needed someone, and Tamlin responds to that with this raw, almost feral need to protect. He protect. It's not a strategy or obligation. Like, yeah, there's a lot of things at play here, but this was instinct. He heard Feyre screaming. Like, maybe that was Lucian's plan all along, but
I don't know. But yeah, he didn't really even hesitate. He didn't think about it. He just came for her. She thanks him for saving her life, for deciding that her life was worth saving.
She is inching her way out of pure survival mode and towards the radical idea that she might actually matter to someone just as a person.
So when Tamlin says, let's go home, she doesn't flinch. Even though a part of her is absolutely like, I don't have a home, she still accepts it.
The Suriel did say, stay with the beautiful, rich, immortal man, and I too respect expert advice.
Feyre soaks in the bath for an hour, then sits in a chair drinking hot chocolate while Alice braids her hair.
Yeah, I think I could stay with the High Lord too. Like,
Right?
we're just having a hot chalky in a bath and someone's gently playing with my hair. Like, curse. What curse? I'm sure Tam's got it. He's the High Lord.
Right. It's
What am
under
I going
control.
to do?
Alice absolutely knows what Feyre was doing in the woods.
Do you think no one noticed your extremely specific DoorDash order of one freshly slaughtered chicken, no substitutions?
When
You know what? You know what I did?
what?
I changed my Uber name to a guy's name
Okay.
because I just like I had that one creepy ride, and ever since then, it's bothered me thinking about because if you're a predator and you're gonna want to pick up women, you know. So I'm trying to. I don't know.
I do hear what you're saying. Is there a chance that an Uber might drive right past you then if they're looking for a ride that's a guy, or
Well,
they'll try to cancel it because they're like, we weren't outside. And you're like, I'm right here.
it's kind of a name that could be either gender. It's
Okay.
actually my boyfriend's name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe now I'm like having second thoughts. I'm like, maybe I should
I
also
just don't
change my
like it.
name.
I don't know.
I mean, that's a valid thought
I've
I
heard some
hadn't
really
considered.
creepy stories on TikTok.
For the sake of, I use Uber Eats way more than I use Uber, but I don't need anybody showing up to my house making assumptions about who's there.
Exactly. Let's all change our names.
Let's be safe. Okay. Thank you for that. That was a
You're
very like
welcome.
crime junkie life rule. Okay. Uber under a different name. Got it. When Feyre tries to soften her comment with, well, if you had a family, Alice shuts it down. She does have a family.
Feyre just never bothered to consider that the woman brushing her hair might have her whole ass life outside of this.
Feyre has been so focused on getting her family the bare necessities for so long that she's forgotten there's more than one way to protect your family. Just because a person looks well fed and clothed doesn't mean there aren't still big sacrifices that might need to be made.
It is very easy, especially with us only getting Feyre's POV, to forget that everyone else isn't just furniture in your trauma room. We talked about this with the Throne of Glass deep dive, the collateral damage, the ordinary people. Alice, she's not just some background comfort fae. She's someone who has lost a lot and had to keep going anyway.
Alice's sister and her mate were murdered almost 50 years ago, leaving two younglings behind. They don't live at the spring court, but everything Alice does is for them.
SJM loves adding ling to words like a little seasoning like princeling and witchling.
Hmm. Some younglings age like humans, some take decades to reach adulthood. High Fae barely have children at all, so when Alice's sister had a second child, it was basically a miracle.
Then she was murdered. So yeah, knowing all of this, of course they're protective. Of course the loss of younglings, it's treated like an unspeakable tragedy.
It contextualizes everything.
And Alice just clocks Feyre, not in a cruel way, but she snaps when Feyre needs snapping at, and she does need snapping at every once in a while. But she also gives genuinely solid advice.
Like, next time, don't listen to Lucian, just offer the Suriel a new robe.
And thus, one of the more insane theories is born, and we will talk about that in the massive spoiler section. But is she saying, so like, is Alice saying every Suriel has a robe kink? Or is this just because our Suriel is baby girl?
I would say it sounds like every Suriel.
Because that's crazy to think that an entire race is into one piece of clothing.
Well, if they all have the same, not uniform, but they all wear the same thing, I guess that would make sense.
Now I'm thinking of them in robes with like a little name tag.
But even then, if they're a race, how many Suriel are we talking about? Like, are there like hundreds of them? Are there 5 of them? Like,
I don't know.
if they're older than the bones of the world, follow-up questions.
Yeah, do they procreate or are they just, there's always been the same ones?
Like, is there 1 or 2 Suriel that are popping around all of Prithian at random? Or like, can you just go to any woods and maybe find one?
Yeah, because it was very lucky. that Feyre was out eating a hunk of cheese for less than a day.
I mean, Lucian literally knew that they would be in the Western Wood.
Well, Lucian also, like, on the same page was talking about how dangerous the Western Woods were. He's like, "Anyway, so go to the Western Woods."
Even more questions, why was the Suriel there of all
I
places?
don't know.
Speaking of Lucian, that man is sweating.
He absolutely thinks that Feyre is about to march straight up to Tamlin and say, "So funny story, your butt buddy basically handed me a DIY cereal starter kit." But Feyre is no snitch. Not out of loyalty, or not exactly. Like, Feyre doesn't want to get Lucian sent to the principal's office, but she's learning something very important, and that's that knowledge is power. So it's almost baby's first blackmail. Like, she's not actively using it as blackmail, but it's kind of like a looking at Lucian like, I have something, you know?
Well, Feyre is evolving. Feyre has been in survival mode for a very long time, but now the way to survive is changing. So
Mhm.
it's no longer just bare necessities. It is like, okay, knowledge. What can I do with that? What
Well,
can
when
I
you
learn?
know knowledge is power and someone is offering to teach you to read and to give you that leg up, that's just another reason to take it.
That might be a good time to swallow your pride,
Yeah.
to be fair.
Swallow a couple things.
Okay. But the question is, why did Lucian hesitate when he heard Feyre scream? I know that we will talk about this later, but I don't think he wanted her to die. I don't think he's that cruel.
I've thought about this, about whether or not this was all like a setup, not a meet cute, but like a way for Tamlin to come in and like swoop in and save Feyre.
Mhm.
But I think that his body just froze. I think his body froze for a lot of reasons, including he doesn't seem to have access to much magic right now. He isn't Tamlin. I don't know if he can disembowel. We don't really see Lucian use any of his magic. Tamlin has access to what he has access to just because he was a high lord.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest reason, as we're going to learn later, Lucian has a lot of trauma.
Mhm.
Lucian is just a bunch of traumas stacked on top of each other, wearing a trench coat buttoned to the top. But I also guarantee that he's already replaying this in his head, because Lucian is nothing if not haunted by the moments that he didn't act fast enough. Because I do think deep down he's a good, I don't want to say guy, he's a good male.
I know that we will get more information as we go along. And it's been a minute, so I don't remember exactly what all was happening. Maybe something came up that delayed him, but I could also see Lucian. He's a little bit spiteful and he's still mad at Feyre for Andress. So
Yeah,
I could also see him just hesitating like
you killed
a
my friend.
right. He might be hesitating a pinch just to give her a good scare, but not expecting anything bad to actually happen to her. But then because he's Lucian, he pivots immediately into flirting and tells her she looks lovely.
Feyre laughs and says that she thought fairies couldn't lie, and surprise, not only can they lied about not being able to lie. And iron doesn't hurt them.
Although Ash really does.
I bet everyone wearing their like, I'm glad I don't have matching bracelets. It doesn't even work.
Can you imagine if she was sitting like in a bunch of iron jewelry, feeling a little bit
I
superior, and they're
know.
like, "Girl, you a joke."
Well, I mean, did you think even if it did hurt them, how much time do you think you're going to get just because you have a little Pandora bracelet of iron?
What is it? True Blood, where silver burns their skin?
Mhm.
Okay, so cool. You throw it at me, it zings me
Like,
for a
ow,
second.
and then I keep going.
Right. I'm like, cool. That was so much. It's not really much, you know?
But learning they can lie, she is questioning everything she's ever been told. And worse, this is so much worse. It's exposed that they can lie because Lucian said I was pretty. This is devastating. This is the worst part.
That's just mean. Tamlin promises they've never used information against her, never willingly lied to her.
I wish that we could one day get book one, but from Tamlin and Lucian, even Alice's POV, because how many times did they want to scream at Feyre?
Oh my God, I know. Lucian excuses himself, and alone with Tamlin, Feyre admits that she was in the woods looking for the Suriel.
And Tamlin loses it.
Right.
Claws out, cutting his own face, barely breathing. It's visceral and animalistic, and it's genuinely scary.
Hmm.
And I don't think this is about what Feyre learned. It is like, this is pure panic, but it's really the image in his head, seeing Feyre alone in the woods in danger, his body just goes into this full feral override.
It's not anger, it's terror wearing anger's
It
clothes,
is.
but that doesn't excuse.
Right, understanding why someone reacts the way they do does not make that reaction okay. Because intent doesn't cancel impact, and that's something we're gonna keep bumping into with Tam Tam, unfortunately.
He feels things so deeply, fear, guilt, responsibility, but it comes out so uncontrolled. And I have a moment where I'm like, you're over 500 years old and you don't have control of your emotions yet. Like, that's
I know,
embarrassing.
regulate your emotions.
Get a
That's like a
grip.
toddler throwing a and I see both sides, but it really is like a toddler throwing a tantrum.
Right. Maybe the first like 50 years since you take a while to grow up.
500 years?
Right.
Can you imagine Rowan Whitethorn?
Oh my God. Rowan,
No, he'd
like,
be like,
it's like
"You
watching
gotta
80 and
grow
react,
up."
and Rowan's like, you need to get a grip. I'm
Yeah.
over it.
When Feyre says the Naga attacked before the Suriel could tell her anything, wouldn't he want her to have useful information? I don't know. But you can feel him reboot. Like he completely crashed out and now he's restarting.
He's mostly just impressed that a human girl caught a Suriel.
He's like, "You did what?" And Feyre, absolute menace, is like, "What? Like it's hard?" But as happy as I am to see Tamlin, he's like back in a good mood. But it's very scary seeing someone's emotions change so rapidly because that's the person you have to watch out for because when is it going to switch again?
Right. And then how do I switch it back for safety's sake? He picks up her list of words, the ones that she didn't recognize, and starts reading them out loud.
Not mocking or teasing, not purposely mocking or teasing, but Feyre is about to die of embarrassment. Because there is something uniquely humiliating about a hot, immortal man gently sounding out Q for you. And we actually have a copy of the letter that Feyre wrote that appeared in the first draft of ACOTAR.
Sam, the first night at bed when you left, Ron made out with two girls and put his head in between a cocktail waitress's breasts. Also was grinding with multiple fat chicks.
I will never miss an opportunity to use it. You can visit that. There's like not a museum. So
Oh, yeah.
I've had a couple people send it to me, but you can go like
There's a video
see
of
the
the
actual
cast,
letter.
like going back to see it years later, which is so funny.
But it actually has words like Q, which is confusing because that is just one letter and then a bunch of letters doing nothing. And then conflagration.
Conflagration.
Am I Feyre? What does that mean? Is that like hitting someone?
Conflagration is like flame, like a fire, like going up in flame.
God,
I think.
can I read?
I don't. Yeah, now I'm like, I don't know the exact context, but conflagrations. I think it's like a spreading wildfire, like as the fire like
You're so smart.
spreads, something like that. Thank
But
you.
he
Watch
jokes
me be wrong.
about the list of words looking like a poem about murdering him and burning the body, which is funny, but read the room because Feyre is hanging on by a thread and humiliation is her trigger. So she jumps up to leave, and when she's almost at the door, Tamlin quietly asks, "You love them very much, don't you?" And that stops her cold.
He wonders out loud if her family even realizes that, or if they've just accepted it as a natural order of things. Feyre provides, Feyre sacrifices.
Feyre disappears into the woods, half dead, and comes back quieter, thinner, more exhausted.
He offers to help her write the letter.
Again, just offering to help that she needs. And I don't think that it comes from pity. Tamlin seems genuinely impressed by her, not in a savior way, but by how capable she is. In a how the hell did you survive all of this way?
Yeah, she's very resourceful. She's prepared to adapt. Tamlin doesn't frame her illiteracy as a failing, just as something that happened to her.
But because Feyre won't accept sympathy, he pivots.
Pivot!
He asks, "What if we were friends?" Oh my God, friends.
What? Friends? Pivot and friends? Wow.
Wow.
He tells her that 500 years ago, enough fairies were friends with mortals that they fought on the human side of the war. Like, I just love that it didn't even occur to her. Like, humans were so strong. No, you're not. You think you're going to stand up to the Fae by yourself?
Because you had some iron bracelets?
Not only were you guys slaves, but they're helping you to make magical weapons to fight the Fae. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You didn't come up with that on your own. You don't have magic. Tamlin was too young then, but if he'd been old enough, he would have fought for them against slavery and tyranny. He would have gladly gone to his death no matter whose freedom he was defending.
Not a founding father, a founding daddy.
Oh.
But it is really important for understanding Tamlin because whatever he becomes, whatever mistakes he makes, this is a real core belief. Tamlin defines himself by opposition to cruelty. And you can feel how personal it is. It's not just some theoretical morality. This is something he really believes in.
So much of his identity comes from distancing himself from his father
Yeah.
and from the trauma of what he witnessed.
It's just that fear and trauma can really twist even your core beliefs. And it's something we will talk about in the future. But it is also a little uncomfortable to hear Feyre's response because her moral framework is so different. When Tamlin talks about choosing what's right, her instinct is, I'll fight on whatever side keeps my family safest. And I get it. I understand why she would feel that way, but it raises another question that we're going to keep circling back to for this entire series. And that's, is Feyre's compass, her moral compass, is it pointing true north? Is it pointing true? You know?
And we talked about this earlier offline because I think somebody sent you something interesting on Instagram
Yes.
about the different personalities for the Archeron sisters in this book, but Feyre has been in survival mode for so long. I think when she can finally get out of it, she'll start thinking about other sides to the coin, other versions of this. But her first thought, because she's been in survival mode, is like, I don't care, I have to survive.
Yes.
And I don't know that that will always be where she lands going forward.
It was Natalie who sent it to me on Instagram who was saying the sisters really represent the responses, like trauma responses,
Mhm.
fight, flight, and freeze. So obviously we have Nesta with fight. Feyre is flight because she was always going off. She was going off into the woods, and then Elaine is kind of frozen. I thought
Yeah.
that was really smart.
Yeah, Feyre's, like, on to the next thing. She keeps just running forward instead of pausing to reflect. She's just on the move. And y I mean, that is changing now, but that was such an interesting I hadn't thought about that. And the
Yeah.
minute you said it, I was like, "Wow." So good job, Natalie. Thank you for that little insight. For what it's worth, Tamlin tells her that her family has no memory of a beast bursting into their cottage. They believe a wealthy aunt summoned Feyre. They also know rumors are spreading about a growing threat in Prithian, and that they should be prepared if the wall shows signs of failing.
A rich aunt is way better than your youngest daughter was taken by a cursed beast who may or may not have been wearing pants just because she murdered his friend.
Marcus Fran. Oh my god.
Oh my god, his friend Antonio Banderas.
How are we supposed to just keep going
I
with
don't know.
that?
I'm having a stroke. I've been messing up words this entire time.
Me too, but that's because I get in my head about, oh god, I'll never forget the ones from Throne of Glass when we said like Vernon and
Vernon
Eulemus.
and Eulemus.
Okay. Excuse me.
What was I trying to think of earlier? It's not invasion. The glamoring is trying to think, not invasion, but glamoring just feels like a
It's an intrusion.
intrusion.
Yeah, because you're pushing something into my mind that wasn't there
Yes.
before. Tamlin admits that he did glamour the family.
I'm sorry. Also, Tamlin
Okay.
is at not even close to being full power, but he glamored an entire is glamoring, do you not have to constantly keep that up? Because it's capable of going away.
I don't know, and I do think we'll have to talk about this again in a few chapters.
Because is he glamoring to me is just so hard. Like, yeah, if I'm just reading and I'm not thinking about it, I'm like, okay, they were glamored, but I'm like, Tamlin created a memory and took memories out of their brain. What is that? Because he's not Daemati.
I think it has to be more like a spell or a type of magic that he's been given. If he, as the High Lord, has received magic from the land that helps him to protect, and this is like an extension of protection in some way, then I bet I don't know, because it's not so cut and dry as being like, I've cast a spell. It'll last however long for my,
Right.
I don't know.
Tamlin's power is very diverse.
Mhm.
Like it's almost a little Dorian raw magic-y, you know?
Well, and Lucian did tell us something to this extent that there might be specific powers in there that the High Lords receive, but they also have a lot of generalized powers that aren't specific to one person
Mhm.
related to taking care of a territory and the people.
God, remember when I couldn't say the word friend? I'm so embarrassed.
I mean, you're from Alabama, it happens
Oh my
occasionally.
god!
My friends, you know.
Me and my friends.
Tamlin admits that he glamored them specifically to keep Feyre's father from trying to come after her and violating the treaty.
Feyre's like, "Yeah, I don't think that was something we had to worry about," but Tamlin disagrees, and I don't know, I'm not sure I'm convinced that Mr. Archeron would have come after her either, because his track record is not great for making moves.
I mean, he seemed to care when she was taken, but at the same time, when it like shook him from a stupor temporarily, but he also told her don't return at the
Yeah.
same time.
He was excited for her.
At no point was he like, I will fix this. I will find a way to save you. He was
Mhm.
like, just don't come back if you get a chance to get away. We're good.
Yeah, don't come back.
Thanks.
Why is she even worried about them?
It makes me so sad.
At this point, Tamlin has solved almost all of Feyre's immediate fears. Her family is alive, or her immediate fears that not even just fears, but things that she was able to focus on and not have to think about anything else, right?
Mhm.
But her family is alive, they're fed, they're housed, they're informed. Her promise to her mother is fulfilled. And it sounds like freedom. It sounds like the thing that she's been chasing since she was 8 years old before then. But when it actually happens, it's destabilizing because if she isn't needed, who is Feyre Archeron?
For the first time since arriving in Prithian, Feyre asks for something that she wants.
Paint?
Paint!
Paint! And Tamlin, say what you will about this man, and we will. He lights up. He's like full golden retriever mode. He's like, yes, paint everywhere, inside, outside, walls, floors, ceiling. I will acquire paint. I will show you the gallery. Like, this man is ready to fund the arts.
It's also just like a catch-all. He's like, great. What makes her happy? Paint.
Paint.
That's it. Got it. Okay. He tells her that once the gallery is cleaned, it would be his pleasure to show
And
her.
he's blushing and smiling, and Feyre's smiling. I'm smiling with both
Oh,
lips.
God. Of course you would.
Every time I read this or like reread this book, I'm like, are we going to fall head over heels again? And the answer is yes. Because here we are. It's just so, this moment is so, I don't know if pure or innocent is the
It's
right word,
genuine.
but yeah, it's genuine.
There's a lot to fall for in this book. And in my reread, there are things I will try to look into more and give some space for.
He really came in like a knight on a, I mean, he was literally on a white horse, like to
Yeah.
save her.
Yeah. He's also following her lead for what she's asking for.
Mhm.
Then Feyre goes to sleep.
And I cannot stress this enough, but what the fuck? Because I don't know if I know I had clocked this in prior rereads, but I hadn't given it much thought. But this nightmare that Feyre has is not a normal nightmare. This isn't a stress dream about starving or mar taxes. This is,
Specific.
it's almost intimate. This imagery is so precise. It has blood red nails, a pale, faceless woman demanding a name, Feyre choking on her own blood. It's just, I don't really know what's going on. Is Feyre's brain just free associating off the idea that there is this mysterious her that everyone refuses to name? Or did she accidentally tap into something?
Well, she's just learned that her family is safe, and so she should now have less nightmares and be de-stressing, so the timing is interesting. It's almost like she's been dropped into someone else's subconscious or
Or
dream.
dropped into someone else's nightmare? Or it's like two people's nightmares colliding or combining. And we will talk about this when we get to Akamath, because there are other interesting things that happen in dreams. But I had just forgotten about this one, especially the timing,
Mhm.
because Feyre wakes from this violent, bloody nightmare, and Tamlin is bursting into the manor carrying an injured Fae. Blood everywhere. It's a different injury, but it's still blood. It's still this dread and this sense that something is circling closer.
The injured Faerie is from the summer court, a lesser fairy with blue skin, gangly limbs, pointed ears, and long black hair.
Sounds very Avatar.
But at one point when she mentions the gold veining and how it looks like a butterfly wing, I'm just like, ooh, pretty.
Ooh, pretty.
So pretty.
But not so pretty right now.
Right, things are a little rough. On his back are two bloody stumps where the mysterious she ripped his wings clean off. Like, it's like a sever, like shredding.
Mhm.
It sounds awful. Then he's dumped over the border into the spring court.
It's obviously deeply fucked, but extremely intentional. Like, this wasn't just cruelty for cruelty's sake. It was, but it was also a message, presumably to mess with Tamlin. Because not only is there beef with Tamlin, but this she who shall not be named has beef with the Summer Court, which we will get into later. But narratively, this scene does a few things. One, it escalates our fear of this mysterious woman from ominous vibes to actively mutilating and mailing people. Two, it forces Feyre and us to confront Faye's suffering up close, not as monsters or enemies, but as real people or Faye or whatever, but real beings suffering.
And it's showing us Tamlin's softer side.
It is, because he is actually very sweet in this moment. And it also quietly drops Lucian trauma crumbs, because when Feyre and Tamlin, they immediately jump into action, Lucian vomits into a potted plant and then runs out of the room. I'd be like, what is that about?
Ugh, like you vomited in a potted plant at the bar, like really on the bar.
That is why I don't mess with Fireball.
It was shocking for all of us.
I'm just not a cool, like, nothing about me is cool. And I don't mean that in like I'm a quirky, fun girl. I mean that in that you can't take me to your study and give me a cigar and a glass of whiskey, because I'll throw up.
You'll have one puff of a cigar, actually inhale and choke. Sorry, it's not funny. She gags brushing her teeth, so
really
you're doomed.
do. Like, it'll sound like I'm in the middle of an orgy, but I'm just fighting for my life, brushing my teeth. Like, nothing about me is cool.
Wow.
But everything we're seeing with Lucian it's basically PTSD. But I also, I think that there's something specific happening with Tamlin. Seeing someone with their wings cut off clearly hits something deep. It doesn't feel abstract for him. It feels personal, like he's trying to atone for something. But regardless of the reasons, Tamlin is so gentle here. And I think that we as a fandom, myself included, we forget a lot of the good qualities of a character and only remember the bad once we're removed from a story, especially if it's been a couple of years since you've read. You only remember, we talked about this a lot with Throne of Glass, especially Adian.
Yeah, and Kale. You remember the overarching themes.
Yeah, you only remember the big things that, like, really things that pissed you off.
Yeah.
But this is a High Lord, the highest title you can have in Prythian, as far as I know. But this is a High Lord taking care of a lesser fairy who isn't even from his court. Maybe the bar is in hell that I'm so impressed by this, but and it is objectively the right thing to do. But it really stood out to me in this reread. Tamlin in this moment.
Honestly, your comment just now about the wings hitting something for Tamlin, I didn't process that at this moment. And
I don't know that for sure, but I just have to imagine the way he internalizes everything.
Well, and there's more that we'll learn much later, but it's a small thing in this moment, but I do think it is important, as you say that. Before the blight, Tamlin's magic might have been able to heal him, but now it's only a matter of time before the fairy bleeds out.
And Feyre, who once shot a fairy without hesitation, takes the stranger's hand and tells him it will be all right, that he'll get his wings back. They just have to get him a can of Red Bull. I'm kidding. This is actually really sad, and I kind of teared up when I was rereading this.
I did too. Actually, I was listening to the Audible, and just the way that she said, he's like, they took my wings. She took my wings. It's just so sad. And there's some creatures, I mean, even around here, that will die if you take their wings. So I wonder.
What creatures around here? Like in real life?
Yeah.
In Tennessee?
Yeah, like insects. There's certain insects, I think, that if you take their wings.
Did you say insane?
Nobody's perfect. Okay, all right, friends. I'm just now I've hit a blank because you made me laugh and I forgot.
That if you take their wings, they die?
Yeah, there's some insects, you pluck their wings, they do like, I don't know, flies. It's been a second. Now that I've said it, you made me feel dumb. I'll come back. I'll get back to you on this.
Hit us next week with a list of insects.
Somebody out there is gonna be like, duh, it's obviously this, or no, you're dumb. Anyway, I tried. It's the first false vow that Feyre has ever knowingly made.
Because she knows that it isn't true. She knows that he's not going to make it. And maybe he will on the other side get his wings back. But she knows what it's like to be afraid and alone. So she's really just trying to be there for
Right.
this fairy, like be a comfort.
I don't know anything about you or what's important to you, but at this moment, I just want to offer comfort where I can. Tamlin takes the fairy's other hand and begins to recite a prayer.
And this is so sad. I'm not even going to try to insert the Jersey Shore letter again.
Thank you.
It's just not the time or place.
This is a real moment. Read the room. Cauldron save you, mother hold you, pass through the gates and smell that immortal land of milk and honey. Fear no evil, feel no pain, go and enter eternity.
The fairy's hand goes limp and Feyre keeps holding it anyway because she's questioning how long does it take for a soul to leave the body? And she offers to help bury the body, to stay and to witness and to help share that weight. But Tamlin gently refuses. This is something he has to do alone. And listen, Tamlin does not always handle situations well. He is deeply flawed, and we will talk about that a lot. But I can't imagine what he's carrying here.
Feyre was responsible for 3 people and it nearly destroyed her. Tamlin is responsible for an entire court.
He must just feel so guilty and helpless. Like feeling helpless, not being able to protect the people who are depending on you. Not that this fairy was part of his court, but he's just not able to do anything. Like it's like his hands are tied, you know?
Well, you literally said earlier that this kin's job is protect.
Yeah.
And whether it's part of my court or not, to not even be able to meet the basic need of protection for my people would be devastating. Later, Tamlin asks Feyre why she stayed, why she cared. On a good day, she dislikes fairies, and on a bad day, she killed one.
Because she wouldn't want to die alone. She would want someone to hold her hand until the end and a little while after that. And underneath that, she regrets Andrus. She regrets the hatred that she was carrying. Standing there watching Tamlin mourn this stranger, she has to be thinking, if that's how much a stranger dying affected him, Andrus's death must have destroyed him, and I did that to him.
There's so many layers here that Feyre, I think before she actually encountered a fae, it's much easier when they're abstract and you can just, oh, the fae are terrible, leave it at that. And now she has been forced to live among them. And yes, they're all different varieties of fae, but I think it's really shaken her core beliefs for a moment because there's so much more to these thoughts that I hadn't considered previously. And this would be very hard to encounter.
Well, and I think that it's also really important how non-human like this fae was.
Mhm.
Because if it's like Tamlin or one of the Spring Court High Fae, if they're not wearing the mask, they just, I mean, they look like humans with pointy ears. But this was as far away from a human as you can get.
Right.
But
It
she
should have
still saw how scared he was and how sad he was.
It should have scared her in theory because it is so alien to what
Mhm.
she knows, but
Not that he's a human, but it did humanize him.
right, well, he's an injured animal in some form. You know, it's just cruelty for cruelty's sake, which I guess really grabbed her attention. Tamlin lifts the fairy's body into his arms and carries him through the garden and out into the rolling fields beyond the manor.
The next day, Feyre goes looking for Tamlin to apologize about Andrus, really apologize, which is huge. Not just the fact that she's apologizing, but because it's the first time that she's picturing a future here. A future where she's not surviving minute to minute, but existing. A future where she wants to live here and be on good terms with Tam. Yes, she calls him Tam because we were at the nickname stage. Next thing you know, he's going to be calling you Foxy Roxy.
Okay, well, you know what? Better than that one. That one time you tried to give yourself a nickname, Cat.
You really can't give yourself a nickname. I wanted so badly. Was it 10 Things I Hate About You?
Just so you know, Foxy Roxy was given to me. I didn't assume that.
Who called you Foxy Roxy?
It started in marching band.
How did Foxy Roxy come out of marching band?
Long story long. I played basketball, like church basketball in middle school and a little bit in high school, and for whatever reason, we would go out on the court and, when you do a countdown, we would yell Roxanne, which was a prostitute's name in the Bible. I don't know, we were dumb girls.
Okay.
But we were like, "Roxanne!" It's stupid. But from there, somehow and it was also church basketball, but somehow it banned that.
Do you still have that email? Her email was Foxy Roxy.
No, that was,
Or
part
your
of my it was my AOL screen
AOL
name.
screen name.
It was like Foxy Roxy FLT something.
We had no business being on the internet as young as we were, because I was out there being like, yeah, I'm a 31-year-old from New York City.
Having Foxy Roxy is very misleading if you're underage.
It is.
It should
You're
really
like a
not be.
12-year-old with braces and glasses, and you're like, Foxy Roxy.
Now, I was actually in high school at the time because we didn't have a computer until I was 14. Throwback millennial. But yeah, I was flirting with like the guys in high school. So I was like, this is big stuff.
No, I was just out there talking to predators.
Not even considering predators. Like, didn't even occur to me. Gross.
Tamlin and Lucien go quiet when Feyre comes down the stairs. Every time they do this, I would just go right back up the stairs. Like, that would bother me. Like, what were y'all talking about?
Y'all talking about me?
Y'all talking about me? But Lucien immediately mall walks his ass straight out the door to give them privacy, like the good professional third wheel that he is.
Tamlin asks Feyre to join them for a ride.
Both at the same damn time.
Yes.
But unfortunately, it's not that kind of ride.
Rude.
The gallery is still being cleaned. The rainbow art Tamlin ordered off an infomercial at 2 a.m. It has not arrived yet, and his meeting was postponed.
Meeting, you say? Interesting.
Do you remember that rainbow art that everyone wanted? That it was like one stick and you could like, it had all the colors in it.
Rainbow art? You're talking about like one of those like color markers?
Kind of, but it was, I don't know how to describe it, but it was like on a black board that it worked. I wanted
I know what you're talking about.
Yes, I wanted one so badly.
I was going to draw so many things you didn't even know. Never
I know,
one.
I could have been an artiste.
I was going to be the next Lisa Frank. Missed my chance. Tamlin, Feyre, and Lucien ride out to the most beautiful place Feyre has ever seen, a grassy knoll that just feels right. Tamlin spreads a blanket.
This knoll is about to become a ski resort if I have anything to do with it. But also, if you take me to a knoll, a president better been assassinated there. Or what are we doing?
Okay.
What's a knoll? Just a little hill?
Yes.
You took me to your little hill.
Okay, thank you. That's very like, now I'm thinking of Lord of the Rings and hobbits. They're knolls.
Okay. Oh yeah, they live in little knolls. I would love to one day go to New Zealand.
It's on our bucket list. It'll just take half my PTO to get there. That's the only problem. She hears Tamlin and Lucien whispering, then Tamlin comes to sit beside her.
You know, Lucien was like, go sit with her, and Tamlin was like, stop making it weird. It's actually kind of adorable that Tamlin is not naturally smooth. Like, don't get me wrong, this man has fucked. I don't think he has a problem getting women to sit on those antlers. But there's a difference between being experienced and being slick. The guys who are too good at flirting are usually the ones that you shouldn't trust with your drink.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that the hard way. You know that. Never take a drink from a guy in a Metallica t-shirt.
Dead giveaway.
Dead giveaway.
Tamlin seems to genuinely enjoy making Feyre happy. He cares what she thinks.
He's not faking that. Whatever else is going on here, and there is more going on, but Tamlin lights up when Feyre smiles. He wants her to like his stupid little knoll. He wants her to feel safe and impressed.
When Tamlin asks if she likes it, Feyre answers with a simple yes. He laughs and asks, that's it? She replies, would you like me to grovel with gratitude for bringing me here, High Lord?
And he doesn't get mad or bristle. He's not upset that the Suriel outed him as High Lord. Then Feyre says that the Suriel mentioned Tamlin likes to be brushed and can be trained with treats, and Tamlin tips his head back and laughs, a real laugh. Even Lucien is chuckling again. Both of my lips are smiling. But for one perfect, stupid moment, it feels so light and easy. I can understand for Feyre how easy it would be to put your blinders on, because if Tamlin smiled at me, my memory would factory reset.
Also, I think that's the first time we've seen Feyre joke. I'm like, did you have a personality? I didn't know.
I know. Lucian's like, was that a joke?
Who are you? Like, she just, again, we've talked about this, but she's been in survival mode, and I just didn't know you had humor. It's nice to meet you, Feyre. L Leaving Lucian to get day drunk, Tamlin leads Feyre down the hill.
His powerfully muscled legs lead them through the trees, and I don't know why, but it talks about him hopping and leaping over the roots. That makes me laugh so hard.
But also, why did he do that and just leave her? Like, "Okay, I'll figure it out myself."
Oh, it says that he is bounding through the field like he's in a shampoo commercial. Like, what do you mean he's
He's
leaping?
giving herbal lessons.
It is sweet that in this moment, however short it is, Tamlin just feels freer. Tamlin is like off leash.
It's so cute, he's in his happy place. He leads Feyre to a sparkling silver pool, a pool of starlight. Even Tamlin doesn't know how it's possible.
He's never asked, but we will discuss some theories in the massive spoiler section.
Respectfully, that's kind of a male thing. There's
Yeah,
so many
how do
times
you not ask?
guys don't ask for clarity, or it didn't matter until you didn't know who to ask about it because there was bigger fish to fry. So,
Oh,
like,
it's like
okay.
when your boyfriend says that, "Oh, that couple broke up. What
Yeah.
happened? I didn't ask." What do you mean you
What do you
didn't
mean?
ask?
I need more information here. Tamlin starts unbuttoning his tunic, but stops when Feyre asks him why this place.
God, Feyre, right now?
Why are you cockblocking yourself? God, we could have seen some chest. He explains.
I love chest.
I love chest. He explains it was his favorite place when he was a boy.
That's another thing to keep in mind for the spoiler section because it blows up a few of those theories that have gone viral.
Mm-hmm.
Not to like be a Debbie Downer.
But you can't skip out on the details because you don't like them. When she asks about Lucian's reaction to the fairy last night, Tamlin tells her that Lucian has endured things. And honestly, I was a little surprised that Tamlin tells her more right now because a lot of times we'll bump into stories, especially from SJM. Well, she'll be like, well, that's their story to tell.
Yeah.
I mean,
and Tam's like, it's my story to tell.
right. I mean, I am happy to learn more about it, but I was a little surprised that he just continued. It's not just the scar in the eye, but Lucian is the youngest of the 7 sons of the High Lord of the Autumn Court.
You know, SJM loves her sevens. And the Autumn Court is cutthroat, almost like the Coggin in Throne of Glass, just the succession part of it. They're not that cutthroat.
Mm-hmm.
Because the brothers, Lucian's brothers, they treated each other as competition. It's the strongest who inherits the title, not the eldest. And that's the case in every court, which is important context for future. But Lucian never expected to be High Lord. I mean, he has 6 other brothers who want it. So instead of sharpening his knives and trying to stab his siblings, he spent his youth making friends in other courts, building up that MySpace top 8, being with females that his father didn't approve of. Can I just say, I'm personally building up my MySpace top 8. If you're listening to this podcast, you are my friend, and therefore legally you have to come to my funeral. I don't have family, and I'm so scared of no one going to my funeral and it just being like Elle and my cats. I don't even know if we can get the cats there.
We will find a way.
We'll find a way. So everyone has to come to my funeral.
I will put
You're
tuna
all
in a
formally
carrier.
invited.
That's like real sad, Kate.
It is very sad.
But also, you won't be here, but we'll all still be there. Just know that.
So you don't care?
Well, it's funny that you're like, it's my biggest fear. I'm like, why you won't be?
Because it's embarrassing.
You're not like.
You don't think I can be embarrassed from the grave?
Kate, the internet is forever. You're not like Feyre. You won't be forgotten.
The people just remember my heated rivalry power bottom discussions.
I mean, they're just going to see me rambling and flubbing over dumb words. So
yeah, they will see me doing that too.
At least you're funny. You've got it. You've got this, babe. Lucian fell in love with a fairy who wasn't High Fae. He believed the mating bond would snap into place and planned to marry her and leave court life behind. Before he could, his father had her executed and literally, Tamlin says, put down. And I was like, excuse me, like an animal?
Yeah, that was interesting wording.
The phrasing is weird. But his father had her executed in front of him. How awful. And Lucian's 2 eldest brothers held him down and forced him to watch. It's just
Or you
terrible.
could read it, because we don't totally know the context here. You could read it as the brothers held him down to keep him from interfering and getting himself killed. You just never know, you know?
You're right. You're right. This is initially, you don't know the flip side.
Yeah, there's just a lot of context missing with the Autumn Court, but Lucian walked away from all of it. And without his title protecting him, 3 of his brothers came after him. Lucian killed one, Tamlin another, and the 3rd escaped back to the Autumn Court.
Tamlin then claimed Lucian as his emissary.
And by claiming, he means there was a party at the back of Tamlin's throat, and Lucian was invited to come.
Okay. All right. That image is going to go quadruple platinum in my head.
It is a good image.
Yeah.
But when Lucian freezes, like we saw with the Suriel when Feyre was screaming, when he hesitates, when he vomits into decorative pottery,
Ugh.
this is why. Feyre is learning, like with Alice and with Tamlin, everyone is carrying their own shit. Tamlin isn't just a high lord with big hands. Lucian isn't just comic relief with good banter and thighs. We're all dealing with loss and we're just coping. You're not the only one carrying their own shit.
Right? The vibe is heavy.
It
So
is.
Feyre does what any emotionally overwhelmed woman does and pivots back to the magical pool.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
She asked what would happen if she drank the starlight. Are you a child? Do you just see something liquid as like, should I drink it? But legend says that she would be happy until her last breath. And she jokes the entire pool wouldn't be enough for that. Tamlin asks what would make her happy, and she doesn't know.
Because for as long as she can remember, happiness wasn't a goal.
I just have so many questions about the starlight, not just its origins, which we're going to talk about, but when you say, I'll be happy if I drink it, do you mean the starlight will lobotomize me and make me think that I'm happy? Or is it like granting wishes? Like if someone died and what would make me happy would be them being brought back, could I take them to the starlight?
Well, also, if it's going to make me happy until my dying breath, is that going to be really short lived? Like I'm going to laugh my way to death?
Like I just
Like,
and dead.
like what is that in the Zodiac Academy? The like Fey Blaze or whatever it is they
Yes.
take. I mean, Kill Blaze or whatever. Like, is that what you're saying? Like, how long am I going to live after I take it?
And
Is
no one
this
is just like taking a little sippy sip.
I would say
Just
it feels like if it's bottled happiness, they should be taking a supplemental sip every day. Like, what do you mean?
well, do you think that's what's in fairy wine?
I don't know. Little pinch of starlight just to enjoy yourself?
Yeah, because it makes them so free and kind of thins the veil.
Yeah, I don't it's just such a it sounds very like fairy tale romance because
Yes.
none of it's tangible or makes sense and you're like, "What? What?"
I
Like
know
I'm
we
interested.
overthink everything.
I'm interested though. So tired of being bitter and lonely, Farah says, "Fuck it," and strips down to her undergarments.
I need 5 to 7 business days if I'm going to be stripping down in broad daylight. I need some notice. My granny panties look like they have been to war.
Well, respectfully, hopefully Alice is giving you new panties each day.
She is plucking her, so I
I
guess
hope
she's
somebody
ready.
has taken care of me in advance, please. Tamlin takes his time looking at her like, "Excuse me? Hello.
Mhm.
I am so excited to know that I can compete with beautiful fairy females that you're
With the
looking at
big
me
light on? With the sun
with
on?
the big light." No shade anywhere.
No!
Also, his eyes go hungry and feral.
Like, let's see what that anger looks like from above me and behind me and under me and like just to the left side of me, if you know what I'm saying. It's right there, just off to the left side.
Right, right, right. He resumes undressing too, and she's like, "We're not in the barn anymore, Toto."
It's not really fair if you think about it because, yeah, Isaac seems like the kind of guy who would think that missionary is adventurous, but comparing the body of a starving, what was Isaac, 1920?
Yeah, maybe.
Comparing him in his starving human body to a centuries old fae who's never missed a meal, that's not really it.
This Fae also trained to be a warrior for centuries, so, like, I know that muscle is toned.
You were down there in the barn starving not that long ago either.
Yeah. Like, well, at least she's had some square meals since then, but, like, alright, Feyre. Feyre swims out into the pool, not water, but something smoother, thicker, like being wrapped in silk.
I would get the worst UTI. I would get a magical starlight UTI, probably antibiotic resistant.
Does that count as ingesting? Would you be happy about it?
Oh my god, is it
I
ingesting?
don't
Would that be ingesting?
When you guys tell me things can go in, if I dunk my head and anything gets in my eye, is that count as going in? Like, how
We're so not fun. Like, we're not fun girls because
Look.
we would be like putting one toe in. Actually, can it go in any hole?
Like,
Or
Is you sure this water is sanitary? It just there's way too many things with like Fey lore, and there's what book series is that? I think it's the Mortal Instruments, where they're talking to the Fae and a sprite bites the main girl's finger and
Mm.
it goes like the bite when she was touching something means it goes into her bloodstream,
Oh
and
god.
so it counts as entry and she gets trapped.
Hmm.
So I have this moment where I'm like, "How am I okay? Are
It's a good
we
question.
good here?" Tamlin follows her in, and as they tread in the starlight, he asks her about her father and
Is
how
this
he
the
lost
time to
everything.
talk about this?
Look, we're letting loads off our chest, okay?
I guess.
I
She
guess.
explains her father was the so called Prince of Merchants, a title inherited, basically a Nepo baby merchant, but it was disguising 3 generations of debt.
8 years ago, desperate to fix it all, he sent every last coin to Barrett. The ship sank, and so did their future.
Should you send every last coin anywhere?
It's like gambling. Like might go great until it doesn't, but also 3 generations, you guys didn't come up with a fix after that. You had a lot of time.
Why didn't you like diversify?
I mean, at one point, if you make a really do really well, then let's just chill out for a second.
Yeah.
Let's get some interest on that. I don't know.
Yeah, gain some
Let's
interest.
just hold on to it for a second.
Get some Bitcoin.
After the creditors came, there was nothing left but enough gold to buy the cottage. Then her father just stopped trying. It took 3 years for the money to run out completely. Feyre was 14 when she started hunting.
14, like a literal child. And all of these are brutal memories. I don't know if I want to talk about this shit while I'm just in my underwear, but Feyre has never really had friends. She's never had anyone to tell her story to. Even if she had anyone to confide in back at home, there was no room to fall apart. There was no room for weakness.
Mhm.
So, being able to say this out loud, it must be so freeing. Everything about this section of the book, it's just so freeing.
It's also a really beautiful environment. So if I have to talk about hard things, it's almost comforting that I'm in this peaceful, beautiful glen where I feel safe and I'm in starlight and just floating. If I'm going to have to talk about it, it would be the best case
And
scenario.
you're with someone who will understand responsibility. Like, yeah, Tamlin's not ever going to understand poverty, but he does understand responsibility.
When they leave this little starlight day date, something has shifted. There's a new understanding, not just between Feyre and Tamlin, but that extends to Lucian too.
Well, knowing Lucian's history doesn't excuse his sharpness, just like we were saying with Tamlin's reactions and her father's inaction. It doesn't magically erase the moments where Lucian hesitates or fails Feyre, but it does give context.
When Feyre tells Lucian that if he actually wants her dead, he's going to have to try harder next time, he says that really wasn't his intention, even if it wouldn't cause him to shed a tear exactly.
It's a very Lucian response, and she doesn't forgive him, but she can empathize with the position that he was in. This human girl who killed his friend is now living in his Mojo Dojo Casa house, flirting with his Tam. It's a lot to process. Like, imagine if someone murdered me and then moved into your house and they like moved around all your tiny beads or cleaned off your nightstand that's a drugstore.
Yeah. Everybody needs to stay in their own lane. Mind your business. Feyre is starting to see Lucian differently. Lucian is also seeing Feyre in a new light, especially after learning that her first instinct in the forest wasn't self preservation, but freeing the Suriel.
Lucian admits that when he heard Feyre scream, he hesitated, not long, but long enough. Not an excuse or justification, just the truth. Because sometimes trauma can look like a body that just doesn't move fast enough when it should.
Sometimes it looks like asking people listening to your podcast to come to your funeral.
Sometimes it looks like sending your ex a Venmo for emotional damages. We're all just coping.
I won't
Have we
apologize.
hit him with a Venmo lately? Isn't it his birthday?
Oh my god!
Is it?
It's the 15th. It's his birthday.
Okay.
You know what? Fuck that guy.
I can't believe I remember. What's wrong with me?
You know what? It's probably been too long since I last sent him a Venmo.
Yeah, let's hit him up.
It's the time. To make amends, Lucian gives Feyre his jeweled hunting knife with one condition: don't bury it in my back. And if you're skipping the massive spoiler section, that's where we will pick up next week with chapters 19 through 24.
Okay, if you are sticking around, obviously, spoilers ahead for Crescent City and Throne of Glass. Tinfoil hats on because we are going to talk about the pool of starlight and the Suriel. Both of these theories are not ones that I personally believe, but I do think that they're interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And they fall more, especially the Suriel one, it falls more in the emotional column than the reasonable column, if that makes sense.
Right.
Also, Sarah cannot just drop a literal pool of starlight into book one and expect us to believe that it's just decorative landscape.
Sarah is definitely one
Our good friend
to
Sarah.
our good friend Sarah. She leaves a lot of hints places, and it just feels too out of place to ignore, especially because we're in the spring court. So why are we talking about starlight, which would seem from the night court?
It is very night court coded.
Mhm.
And Tamlin's like, IDK, I never asked, no one explained, which is insane. Like, no wonder he and Feyre bond, neither ask questions. But he does tell us that the pool predates him. We know Tamlin swam in it as a child. So whatever created it goes back at least a generation, probably more, which shifts us away from Tamlin did something into Tamlin inherited either the consequences or the benefits of something. And who is associated with Starlight?
Well, we've got Reese or Bryce,
Yeah, Reese, Bryce, really in Prithian, the entire Night Court.
right?
And we know that Tamlin and Reese were once close. They were really close. Neither of their families liked it. They're the real enemies to lovers. The story that could have been. According to Reese, he told Tamlin about his mother and sister coming to visit him at an Illyrian camp. He believes Tamlin told his father and brothers, who then went to that camp and murdered them because the Night Court was on the right side of history with human slaves, and Tamlin's father was on Hybern's side and was very pissed to have to give his human slaves up. They put their heads in boxes and sent them down the river to the nearest camp. Then Tamlin's father kept their wings and pinned them in his study, which is another reason I think with the fairy whose wings were ripped off, why it really hit Tamlin.
Mhm.
But when Feyre is in her dark Betty phase and goes back to destroy the spring court, she plans to get the wings and give them back to Reese, but she learns that Tamlin actually already burned them. How people jump from Tamlin carrying guilt over what happened to Reese's mother and sister to then believing that there was some secret relationship between Tamlin and Reese's sister, how that jump is made is kind of beyond me.
Mhm.
But I can see any death off screen, off page is suspicious. So never seeing the wings, I can see why people would be like, oh, maybe there's something there. The problem is someone saw their heads.
Yeah.
And I could see maybe the place where Tamlin burned the wings, maybe that turned into starlight. But the pool predates Tamlin. And I hate saying that a theory is straight up wrong, but the timeline just doesn't work for a secret Tamlin and Reese's sister relationship if we're only using the pool as proof. If there are other things, sure. But people will say, well, maybe Tamlin helped Reese's sister get out, and that's why we never see the wings. Again, they saw their heads, and Tamlin is a shapeshifter. Like, I guess he's, in theory, capable of that, but it is a really big stretch.
Mhm.
You know, and we talked about this offline, but there are also the wings in the
Okay.
Asteres Palace in
Yeah.
Crescent City that they bring back soldiers using because their souls are tied to them. So I like to think that Tamlin, in burning them, released their souls. Like it was a kindness.
I guess that would be why you would assume because, yeah, we saw their heads, but if their soul could be attached to their wings, could it then be put into another body? And I
I mean,
hear
maybe.
what you're saying, but also that's in a totally different world where we see that.
Yes.
So, I don't know. Stronger possibility that if for any reason there's concern that they are not able to pass over, Tamlin just burn the wings to help.
I
And
think
also to, like, let them go and not use them as displays for anything.
exactly. I think that was more of just a this is disgusting.
Mhm.
But I personally like the idea that the pool is fallen starlight, literal star soul residue, because later Reese tells us that the falling stars over the House of Wind are souls during starfall, and there are fewer every year. So where do they go? Are they landing?
Oh my gosh. Like, where do they go, and do they stay wherever they are? Like, where are they journeying to or from? So, like, was Feyre swimming around in souls?
It's kind of gross, right? To think about.
I mean, at least as long as you don't pee in there, I guess. That'd be rude.
But then we get into the Crescent City territory with First Light and the Starborn Fae. First Light is transported through crystal, quartz, ley lines, channels under the ground. What if the pool of starlight seeps into underground waterways? What if it charges magical paths between the courts? What if Kalanmai isn't just a sex ritual, but like a yearly harvest where this magic is generated and returned to the land and fed back into whatever ancient system is buried beneath Prithian? Because we talk about the power coming from the land. Okay, what does that mean? Is this the power? And if it is, and it's underground, could that be feeding these old gods we've speculated are buried underneath the all of the sacred mountains in Prithian?
Golly. I'm like, my mind is blown with that last.
Well, remember when Vesperus talked? Like, how is Vesperus still alive? What are they feeding on?
Right. I just hadn't thought enough about it, and I'm having a real moment of like, "Holy shit, that would be cool." Especially if now that you've brought this up, whenever ACOTAR 6 comes out in, like, a decade, if it really, like, answered some of this in some way, that would be so
Well,
cool.
almost like a hot spring or something to where there's all of this going on underneath the land, but then this is just where it's bubbling up.
It's like if Kalon Mai is a First Light collection, and that's what the Asteri/Daglin were sipping on.
They always use the terminology, the phrasing "sipping,"
Mhm.
and I'm like, "Is this what were they sipping on starlight?" Even fairy wine, when I asked that we were talking about it earlier, because when Feyre drinks it, she says it fills her veins with starlight,
Yeah.
and she's probably just mean like she's high, she's drunk, but it lets her see through glamours. Is it actually laced with starlight and the starlight thins the veil?
I My mind is blown. Even if it's could the starlight be used to grow the grapes for the wine? Is that what's
Yeah.
unique about fairy wine? That's
Yeah, if
what's
it's
different?
coming from the land,
The
if
fairy fruit is literally
Mhm,
fairy fruit because it's filled with starlight from the land. I don't know,
mhm.
that's crazy. But also, if it thins the veil, could starlight help you world walk?
Exactly, could that be a place that you could potentially travel to other worlds through the starlight? Then there's Rhys slipping in and out of the spring court, and yeah, the wards are failing, and Rhys is the most powerful High Lord, just ask him. But maybe the land or magic also recognizes him, recognizes the night court, because there is a piece of the night court in the spring court. But no matter what theory you like, Reese's sister, fallen stars, souls, magic spring, first light reservoir, leftover starborn artifact, I do believe the pool of starlight is not meaningless, and I think we're going to see it again.
It just seems too important
It
in some
does.
way.
Then there's the Caltaine being the Suriel theory. This is another one of those theories that lives less in the timeline spreadsheet and more in the emotional truth column.
Well, it also seems to have been forgotten that Suriel is a breed, not an
Yes.
individual. But the theory is that the Suriel is not just some random ancient creature, but Kaltain Rompier from Throne of Glass.
And we already know that worlds overlap, time bends, objects like the harp exist. Nothing in the Massverse is as linear as our small brains wish that it was. So here's why this theory has refused to die. Kaltain starts as a bitch,
Mhm.
or that's how Aelin sees her. She's petty and dramatic, and then we learn all that she endures: possession, control, pain. And the one thing that she clings to is this piece of Aelin's cloak that she gives her in the dungeons. Couple books later, Kaltain sacrifices herself knowingly, turning the tide of war, choosing to make her suffering mean something. People compare that to the Suriel, a creature everyone calls a monster, a creature Feyre is afraid of, until we realize it's not cruel. It trades in truth. It's helping. It nudges people toward the choices they need to make, even when those choices are going to hurt. And what does the Suriel want in payment?
Cloaks.
Cloaks, not weapons or gold. But to me, it's even what's sad about the cloak part is that it's seeking any kind of comfort or softness in a world where it probably hasn't gotten any. But people who believe this theory think that maybe it's tied to a memory. And it doesn't help that when Feyre asks for the Suriel's name, it doesn't answer.
Also, when Dorian uses Damaris to contact Gavin, he accidentally summons Caltaine.
And she is somewhere. She's not alive, but she is aware, and she refuses to say where she is or who she's with. So she exists outside of the story now, and that's exactly where the Suriel exist. So do I think this theory will be confirmed? No. And I get wanting to believe that Caltaine didn't just die, that she became some ancient chicken loving, robe wearing guide, but I actually think it's kind of a disservice to her character.
I love our Suriel being the gossip who loves tea. Love that. But as you say that, it kind of ruins Caltaine's arc and her sacrifice
It
if we make it
does.
her.
Well, as much as I'd love to see the Throne of Glass characters again, they all deserve the peace that it took 8 books to get to. Especially Caltaine deserves that peace.
Yeah.
So I don't think that the Starlight pool will have anything to do with Reese's sister. I don't think that the Suriel is Caltaine, but I'm also not gonna yuck anyone's theory yum, you know?
Well, Sarah is really good about not giving definite answers, which makes it fun to be able to deep dive and make crazy connections across the Massverse. That's what makes it fun to just throw
Mhm.
wild theories
It
out
is
there.
fun. I do love a good theory,
And we do,
and
yeah,
I love a bad theory.
we do love just wild out there unhinged theories as well. Next week, our deep dive continues with chapters 19 through 24.
Throw us some stars wherever you're listening so we can find more people to attend my funeral.
And if you want to support the podcast, we have super cute stickers on dtfapodcast.com.
Thanks, y'all.